KMOX.
Good morning, good friends. We are glad you're with us on this Friday. We've got Hancock and Kelly. It's Chris and Amy. And this show is with you until 12. And then at 12, it is the Gas House Gang talking Cardinals and some other sports developments we think you're going to love. 314-436-7900 to join the show today by calling and texting. Voice messages on the Odyssey app, where you can also listen to the show live. And if you want to watch, you can watch us talk. Our faces with words coming out. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We are at KMOX, KMOX News if you're on Facebook or YouTube. But we have our own Twitter account at Chris Amy KMOX.
Time now for the top of the order. The top three stories everyone will be talking about.
1 year tomorrow will be the anniversary of the tornado that ripped through St. Louis, destroying thousands of properties and upending livelihoods. So we are going to talk to Mayor Kara Spencer about the response, which some people believe has been far too slow. The mayor joins us at 11 o'clock today.
And a Missouri bill to revitalize downtown St. Louis is on its way to the governor.
Let's go. Cardinals beat the A's to win the series yesterday afternoon. They are back home to take on the Royals tonight. And a huge development in college basketball. It looks like SLU and Mizzou will be playing a game this year at Enterprise Center in November.
Wow.
That is a huge deal.
Big deal.
So looking very forward to talking about that with Stu Durando at 11:30. We'll have that coming up, and I'm really looking forward to that game. So, guys, what are we going to do with all this Rams money, and what do you think of the bill that was proposed by the city and where some of that money is going to be allocated, or where they expect or want that money to be allocated? This amidst the fight with the Police Board of Commissioners, and they want more money than the city is willing to give them. There is a lawsuit that has been filed by that board to try and get all of those funds. The city says we just don't have the money, but here's what we want to do with all of this Rams money, which they believe is separate from the general fund. So there's a lot going on here with the city, what they want to do, what the police want, and we saw the proposal yesterday by the city of how they want to spend all of that cash.
All right, let me bust this up into two sections because John's going to give you a thought that I think is spot on what might need to be done. But if we go back in time, we can all remember when we got this money, we were going to be able to do something transformational for St. Louis. There were studies, there was polls done, there were hearings held, because we just didn't want to use this money to do typical general revenue stuff that we do inside the city of St. Louis. Well, then a police board comes along, et cetera. We'll deal with that in a second. But here we are with an announcement yesterday, which is essentially we're going to do general revenue stuff, right? We're going to invest some in North County. We're going to invest some downtown. We're going to put some of the money into infrastructure, and we're going to call it a day. I don't know what's transformational about that. I don't understand what we goofed around with each other for the past 5 years, thinking we were going to do something significant. I'm not going to question what the mayor's doing because obviously all of the things that she wants to supply the money to are worthy and in need. Having said that, I also worry that there's a hastiness that's going on here to throw this money out of their hands as quickly as possible so that the police board can't get their hands on it. And I don't necessarily think that's the smartest technique either. So the police board, I think they're overreaching with wanting to get their hands on all of this money. I think there's a compromise that can be had here. I wish the governor would come in and play an adult-like role in that process. But quite honestly, I'm disappointed that this is how we're going to spend the Rams' money. Not that it's not, that it's not going to worthy places. It's just not the discussion we've had for the past 5 years.
Yeah, and you can't just take this one-time money and apply it to the police department because that's an ongoing
It's
expense.
perpetual.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, that doesn't work. Now, if there's some infrastructural things that would benefit the police, perhaps. But frankly, St. Louis ought to be in part of this Gateway Police Cooperative that they're building out in St. Louis County that's going to be training officers for the entire region. And so far, the city of St. Louis has not signed up for that, and I think that's a mistake.
Well, and I think to Michael's point about the money being talked about as if it were an opportunity for it to be transformational, which, I mean, I definitely drank the Kool-Aid at first, too. I thought, oh, man, I certainly hope we can see something.
Well, I think we all thought it was going to be way more for the city, but it only turned out to be $250 million, which is a lot, but not a lot when you have a lot of work to do in a city.
Not a lot when the water infrastructure alone could take $700 million in improvements. So I just think that, you know, this money, if it's, like Michael said, going towards general revenue expenditures anyway, St. Louis was so far behind the 8 ball that were we even in a place to talk about doing anything transformational when we couldn't even do the basic stuff? Maybe we should never have used that word, and we should have just said, we're behind the 8 ball. We're going to use this money to at least get us to the standard that we should have been before.
Well, they had all the federal money from ARPA, and they had a hard time spending that, you know? And so I guess they're behind on a bunch of stuff. And the infrastructure is old. And we're in one of the roughest spots in the country in terms of aging infrastructure.
We talked about
we're the
this
second oldest city.
Second oldest city in the country.
For the size of our city, meaning 100,000 people or more.
Right.
Most of our homes were built in 1939 or before.
Wasn't Buffalo number one, and then we were
Buffalo was number
2?
1, and we were number 2. Of all the cities our size and bigger, we are the oldest, second oldest.
Yeah, and so that's where I would have gone with this money is to develop North St. Louis City into a community. And new construction, new homes. You got the NGA up there, and put in a world-class charter school, because that's one of the big bugaboos about people living in St. Louis is that the schools aren't very good. Mm-hmm. And, you know, if you did that, you had grocery accommodations and, I mean, a real community that would be desirable and affordable for people. Now you're talking, because now you're bringing population back into that urban corridor that's going to generate foot traffic downtown on a regular basis. That's going to spawn business activity, restaurants, entertainment facilities, so forth. That's what I would have done with $250 million, and that would have been a good start. And there's a lot of corporate money in this town, I think, that would enthusiastically embrace something like that and partner to do it.
They did say they would match downtown investment. Yep. Did they not have any interest in matching North City investment?
I don't know.
And you're absolutely right about that, but I feel like without being a contractor, all the stuff you're talking about sounds like it would cost way more than $250 million.
Maybe.
And Amy and I have talked about this, and I've said it a bunch. I think that in order for St. Louis to really make a rebound and make some progress, we're talking billions.
Yeah,
not a quarter.
If you used the $250 to incent private businesses to come in and construct new homes and grocery stores and so forth, you know.
Sure.
But then that's the argument: if you build it, they will come. And I don't know that I don't know that that's a guarantee.
In our couple minutes together, John and I talked about the fact that I just feel like we are on a trajectory towards essentially what we saw happen with Detroit, which is eventually bankruptcy, collapse, and then hopefully a reorganization of government. You can see it. This is where we're headed. Whether or not people want to acknowledge it or not, you can call me a naysayer. It's where we're headed. I just wish we would get ahead of it. Like, why do we have to wait to hit the bottom to start to make some of these changes? Because I think you're right, Chris. $250 million, you know, that's a dust in the wind compared to what needs to happen here. But we're going to try to continue to put Band-Aids on a system that we know doesn't work, a government that is outdated and, you know, no longer serves its purposes. We're going to continue to ask our corporate and not-for-profit communities to help us throw money down this hole when ultimately we all know we need to reorganize this thing, change the way we're doing our governance and investing in St. Louis to try to salvage what is left of this great old city.
We have such a chicken-egg problem in St. Louis because the one thing that would fix everything, or that would be the foundation of fixing everything and moving us in the right direction, is having more people in the city.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There just isn't the tax base here.
and taking down the barrier of the idea that there is a city and a county, or there's a city and everybody else. I mean, people need to be invested in the city if you're in Kirkwood or O'Fallon as much as people who are invested in the city. We've all said it. You can't be a suburb to nowhere. And that's essentially where we're headed. And I don't know if you guys, I think you've talked about it. I've heard you with Ness Sandoval and what is going on with the demographics in St. Louis. And heck, you can see it in your own life. I had a friend of mine whose son came back for his 10th high school reunion. And 80% of the kids that he went to high school with no longer live in the St. Louis area.
Yep.
And that's not a unique circumstance. That is happening throughout this region.
It's important to note it's not just people leaving the city. People just don't stay in the region. They don't graduate from college and come back here.
And I agree with all of that. But I think we would be remiss if we did not every day, every single time we have this conversation, bring up the public schools, the St. Louis City public schools, because you will never get families until you have good schools. And I say this because this is so fresh in my mind. A couple of my friends lived in the city for 25 years, homeowners in the city, love the city. They're the kind of people that post every day on Instagram all the restaurants and the coffee shops and the places and how they walk around the city. And they have 2 little kids, and they would push them around in strollers. Guess why they just moved over into county lines? Because their 2 kids are now going to be school age.
Yeah. And
they need to be able to send them to a school district that's not a hot mess. These 2, I mean, if you can't keep this family in the city, and all they did, they moved over, like literally hopped across county lines so that they can still be close to city amenities. But the public schools, you're never going to build a thriving community.
There are some exceptions, though. The magnet school program.
There's Metro High School. But I mean, like, overall, not everybody can get to those few schools.
Correct. Yeah.
But here's another thing that we need to, and I think we've acknowledged this before, but we can do it again. We need to be a city where young people want to go, not just families. It can't just be families. You have to have young people who are interested in coming to St. Louis and living here, because they'll come here, enjoy their time for a while, then they'll meet somebody maybe, then they'll get married, then they'll have kids and want to stay here. But if you're not attracting the young people, you're not going to get the young families.
It's even worse than that.
You might get some,
our young people.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing.
I mean, it's just...
we're not retaining retarees.
No.
We're really not retaining many people.
And maybe this is just a natural process that we're going to have to go to, which, you know, we talk and celebrate Detroit. Because of what I do, have spent quite a bit of time in Detroit, and I was there a lot in 2002. And that was about 10 years after the bankruptcy. And they kept saying, we're going to climb out of it. We're going to climb out of it. Now it's 2026. If you've been to Detroit, I think they're finally really getting out of that hole.
Well, they have. They absolutely
it's taken a decade
or so.
But it
takes decades to do it.
And they had to suspend democracy for a couple of years when they didn't have the mayor and the board of aldermen, and it was some lawyer, some guy.
Couldn't keep the mayor out of prison.
Right, but the governor came in. Their Rocket Mortgage was there, who kind of played the role that the Taylor family plays here in St. Louis, and spent a lot of money investing in it. But for lack of a better word, adults got in a room and started to make some decisions. And that's what we are lacking here. I mean, we're about to have our 5th or 6th iteration of my life conversation about whether or not the city and the county ought to merge. But
that's another place
that time,
we need to start.
We've watched the population go down, 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 and the problems get worse. Yet we're still having a conversation that we all know is the problem.
Hancock and Kelly with us on this Friday for the entire 9 o'clock hour. It is the Chris and Amy Show, and your thoughts are welcome. 314-436-7900 to text in or leave us a voice message on the Odyssey app. It is Chris and Amy on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Everyone needs to have at least one person in their corner in life. When you don't, it's an extremely lonely and frightening place to be. But knowing you have that one person gives you peace and hope. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Since 1988, myself and my firm have been in so many corners for so many clients for so many years. We became the largest injury firm in the world for a reason, and it's not even close. We fought like hell for you. We fight the bullies, automobile insurance companies, the makers of unsafe products, medical providers who injured or killed their own patients. It has been such an honor and made my life complete. If you ever need us, it's easy. On your mobile device or computer, visit forthepeople.com, and then we get to work 24/7. Whether you're hurt in a car crash, injured on the job, or have questions about your Social Security, we're here for you. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
I'm Emma Grade, host of Aspire with Emma Grade, a podcast where I sit down with people who don't just dream big, they build big. From culture-shaping voices like Mel Robbins to leaders redefining success like Tracy Ellis Ross to game-changing entrepreneurs like Mark Cuban. Aspire is about mindset, ambition, and doing the work that actually moves the needle. If you're ready to raise your standards and take charge about the life and career you're building, Aspire is where you start. Follow and listen to Aspire with me, Emma Grade, an Odyssey podcast available wherever you get your podcasts.
Attention all dog owners. If you have ever listened to the radio or TV for any length of time, you've probably heard of America's #1 dog supplement, Rough Greens. Greetings, naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black, Amazon best-selling author and founder of Rough Greens here. And if your dog suffers from bad breath, itchy skin, licking paws, joint pain, or low energy, the truth is their food is probably to blame. You see, all commercial dog food is dead food. That's why I created Rough Greens. One daily scoop gives your pup the live vitamins, omega oils, probiotics, and enzymes that will bring their food back to life. Don't believe me? Let your dog try it before you buy it. I'll send you a free Jumpstart trial bag, risk-free. You just cover the shipping. Go to roughgreens.com. That's RUFFgreens.com. Use discount code NEWS. Don't wait. Give your dog the gift of vibrant health. Order now. It'll be at your house in a few days. Go to roughgreens.com. That's RUFFgreens.com. Discount code NEWS for your free Jumpstart trial bag today. Rough Green. We make any dog food better.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Caw-caw! Your St. Louis Battlehawks are back at the Dome Saturday, May 16th at 2 p.m. taking on the Houston Gamblers. It's Hats Off to Heroes Day, plus fans score a free Battlehawks hat while supplies last. Get your tickets now at UFL Battlehawks. Caw is the law.
Ready for a fresh start? The Excel Center in St. Louis is here to help you earn your high school diploma, tuition-free and on your schedule. With convenient locations in downtown St. Louis and Florissant, you can learn at your pace, with support every step of the way. Need childcare, career coaching, flexible classes? We've got you covered. Registration is now open. Don't wait to take the next step toward your future. Visit excel.mersgoodwill.org to enroll today. This community message has been brought to you by Together Credit Union.
Kaufman Townsley, St. Louis's injury lawyers, is fueling St. Louis. All gas, no brakes. They're giving away $77 gas cards to St. Louis drivers. Register to win until May 17th at KaufmanTownsley.com. Kaufman Townsley, putting money back in your tank.
One city, one voice. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Chris Ranji, Amy Markscores, John Hancock, Michael Kelly. So we were talking about the Rams' money and how now a lot of it will be going towards North City and tornado relief, which it is at least in the right direction, right? If you wanted a lot of money to go to North City. And John, you can speak to this as well because there was, I believe, a state initiative I think it was $10 million from the state where they could knock down 120 buildings.
Right.
And 74% of the buildings were already vacant or condemned before the tornado hit. Of that 120, because FEMA does not cover buildings that were vacant or condemned before the disaster hit. So, yes, it's you want to get rid of those buildings that are a blight. What you don't want it to do is just to become leveled and be a parking lot.
Right.
But you kind of described what you would like to see in North City, but this is a beginning. What do you want to see or what do you not want to see? Like, I'm concerned the buildings get knocked down and then it gets forgotten about and there's not active investment.
Yeah. And, well, what's different now is that NGA is there. So you've got daytime, I don't know how many people are going to work there, but it's thousands. So that's great. And I would incent developers to come in and build housing, but you've got to have the school component, and then all of the other accoutrements of neighborhoods need to be present. Grocery stores, laundry, dry cleaners.
And it's not going to be something where we're going to be able to fix everything at once. I mean, you're going to have to work out of a hub. Mm-hmm. I think focusing around the NGA and expanding out from there really is what makes sense.
Well, I mean, they've repaved the streets. There's some infrastructure improvements that have been happening on that road for years, about 3 or 4 blocks of space, about a half mile, something like that. Maybe it's a half mile. The police department, all that stuff is there. So it's like there's a foundation for people to move in and do. And there's a lot of vacant lots, too.
Yes. But it's also going to take some tough leadership. Look, Paul McKee is a lightning rod name in the St. Louis area. But Paul McKee was trying to do exactly what John talked about. Mm-hmm. He was trying to assemble the properties to be able to do exactly what John talked about. He had gotten 60, 70% of the way there, and he encountered what we do best in St. Louis, which is a ball bat. And yes, there's going to be hard decisions that have to be made. Some people are going to get displaced.
Right.
It's going to ruffle people's feathers. And often we see political leadership collapse to that. I think that's what we saw with Paul McKee. And as that saga went on, he became demonized. And then,
well, now he's just got a bunch of property that's
now it's just sitting there.
Yeah.
But what he was trying to do is exactly what John's saying, which goes back to my larger point, which is great idea, whatever it is that we're going to do. But you're going to have some leaders that have the fortitude and backbone to say, no, this is the decision we made. I understand neighborhood association. This is what we're doing. And I don't see that type of leadership, not only in the city of St. Louis, I don't see it much in our entire region.
So this was kind of shocking to me that I saw the story from Mark Maxwell at KSDK that there is HUD money on the table, the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery, and it helps build neighborhoods after disasters, because the vast majority of FEMA assistance is temporary assistance. For instance, of the almost $91 million of FEMA assistance that St. Louis is getting, 83.3 is going to emergency response like debris removal, protective measures.
Right.
Only 6.5 is permanent. So what this money does from the Community Development Block Grant, it helps build neighborhoods. Joplin got $110 million in 2011. After the 2017 storms, Missouri got $110 million. After the flooding in Missouri a few years ago, $82.3 million. $30 million after the 2019 storms, $0 from this program. This is the first modern record Missouri disaster that has not gotten any of this money.
And why is that?
Well, and Mark Maxwell did ask Representative Wesley Bell about it. To me, the answers were vague. It's like, well, there's a lot of buckets of money, but we never got an answer from Representative Bell. Did you bring up this specific money? Did you advocate? Who's advocating for this money? And it doesn't sound like anyone has, because $0. This is neighborhood development money.
Well, if you go back to the 2011 tornado, Jay Nixon was our governor at that time. The Republicans controlled the legislature. There was almost unanimity across the board. Everybody was working together collectively, applying pressure on the White House, etc. We have a White House now that's not funding that kind of stuff, and I don't see a unified group going up there and advocating for it. I don't know. I like to point to Jefferson City, but the reason I keep pointing to Jefferson City is we are showing here we're incapable. And we had a governor who ran on wanting to help us fix St. Louis. Please come in here and help us.
Well, they are.
The HUD money is, to be fair, is federal. That's Washington.
The bully pulpit of the governor's office could be pounding on. We moved heaven and earth to build this guy to draw new maps for this president. We sure as heck could go move heaven and earth to try to bring money to St. Louis for a tornado that
to be fair, that the relationship that the president has with his people is usually it's transactional. But once he's gotten what he wants, he doesn't really offer anything back. Right. You know what I mean? Like
So you got to get in his face. You got to be there constantly.
You would have to hope he does something for you, then you can repay him. I mean, because if you pay him first, you're probably not going to get back what you want. So I don't know what would happen if the governor went to him and said, "Hey, man." I'm sure that's how he talks.
Like, hey, man. More successful than Wesley Bell. I mean, no offense, but Wesley Bell's a minority senator. I mean, a minority representative.
He's a Democrat, too.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, meaning the minority party.
Right.
The president's not going to listen to him. It's going to take people getting in his face. It's going to take Josh Hawley, who I think is trying, Eric Schmidt, who...
I think he would listen to Hawley.
Yeah. And
Hawley's been vocal about the gas tax.
And I'd say, look, we can't do this on our own.
We don't even know if this HUD is funded, do we? I mean, there wasn't enough information in that story to let us know.
You mean currently under this administration?
Right.
No, it didn't say. No, it did not say if it was funded or not.
I mean, it could have been, for all I know, it could have been a victim of Doge. Who knows?
But that means nobody would know. That means of all the buckets that are represented, that means nobody knows what's going on. Because if Representative Bell is saying, well, there's all these buckets, acting like, yeah, well, of course, this was one of the buckets we looked at without specifying that it was.
Well, the Community Development Block Grant's been around forever. I mean, it's an old program.
But
so if it's gone, that means nobody knows.
You do bring up a good point about Doge because we have no real idea. That was a disaster because they went in, just started slashing stuff they thought didn't sound right, but they didn't know what they were slashing when they did. So we don't know what programs or what organizations were weakened. I mean, we know some of them, but maybe what we're talking about was also weakened because those guys didn't know what they were doing.
Total speculation on my part, but it doesn't, on the surface to me, if that's a program that over the decades is used to enhance neighborhoods specifically that have been decimated by natural causes, if there was money funded, you would think it would have been here a year ago.
John Hancock, Michael Kelly, Amy Marks-Kors, Chris Ranji. We are here. Well, these guys are with us until 10 o'clock, but Amy and I will keep you company until noon, and then it's the Gas House Gang on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Every day starts the same way, and then it goes wherever it wants.
Life doesn't stop for Cardinals baseball. It just kind of runs alongside it. Dave Glover here from the Dave Glover Show. We're talking real life, real stuff, and yes, a lot of Cardinals along the way because that's how fans actually live it. It's just like happy hour, man. We get together every day from 1 to 5. We have fun, we laugh, we commiserate, we complain. DGS 1 to 5.
The Dave Glover Show at 1, and then Cardinals baseball.
I was diagnosed with postmenopausal osteoporosis and thought, am I going to step off a curb and break my ankle? My doctor said I needed to start treatment right away. He prescribed Divinity and my bone density improved. Now I like knowing I have stronger bones.
For women with postmenopausal osteoporosis at high risk for fracture, there's more you can do to strengthen your bones. Evenity is proven to significantly reduce spine fracture risk in 12 months. Elaine is a real Evenity patient. Individual results may vary. Evenity can increase the risk of heart attack, stroke, or death from a heart problem. Tell your doctor if you have had a heart attack or stroke. Do not take Evenity if you have low blood calcium or are allergic to it, as serious events have occurred with Evenity. Signs include rash, hives, swelling of the face or throat, which may cause difficulty in swallowing or breathing, muscle spasms or cramps, numbness or tingling. Tell your doctor about severe jawbone problems as they have been reported with Evenity. Report hip, groin, or thigh pain. Unusual thigh bone fractures have occurred with Evenity. Ask your doctor about building new bone with Evenity.
Now, KMOX weather from the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk.
65 degrees, breezy this morning. Otherwise, just warm with intervals of clouds. A high of 85. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a thunderstorm late, a low of 68.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Kicking back on your patio with a nice cold beverage, listening to the game, enjoying family and friends, a little barbecue, maybe the shade of the pergola. Who knows what your outdoor space looks like? Or maybe it doesn't look like much and you need some help. Call Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best. They're like your summer headquarters to make sure that your outdoor space is ready for all the celebrating or relaxing that you have planned. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best for 58 years. A family-owned local company that does quality work, and that makes it a real value because when Chesterfield Fence and Deck does your project, it is going to last for years to come. And they'll offer you 48 months interest-free financing if you mention me, Debbie Monterey, sent you. So you can visit them in person in the Chesterfield Valley or online right now at chesterfieldfence.com. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, you're not alone. Most importantly, you don't have to live with it. Paramount Men's Medical Center restores men's sex lives in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, even when Viagra and Cialis don't work. Here's Dr. Simovitz, specialist in men's health.
Paramount Men's Medical Center's painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. 98% of patients see instant results right in the office.
Men are now lasting longer than they ever imagined. And the best part, at Paramount Men's Medical Center, your consultation and first treatment are free. Qualified patients even get their testosterone checked free. Call 314-720-8444. 314-720-8444. Take control of your sex life. Call now. 314-720-8444.
Today, the Cards, the Royals.
Ameren Total Access 620. First pitch 7:15.
Cardinals Radio. 104.1 FM KMOX.
Chris and Amy on KMOX. We will talk to Mayor Kara Spencer, who will be with us in studio today at 11 o'clock. We'll talk about all the things that we have been discussing regarding tornado relief, the recovery, and where we are now with the anniversary of that storm being tomorrow, the one-year anniversary. We also have with us Hancock and Kelly. You guys are doing that 250th anniversary series.
Yeah.
Because it's America's 250th birthday
So
this
they
year.
say.
How's that going?
It's going great. And we've got 6 or 7 of them in the can. It's a 13-week series, all on history, which I love. And yesterday we recorded a show that's going to air in a few weeks on Washington, Adams, Jefferson, and Madison. It was really interesting.
And a little bonus question there on Ben Franklin, too, because he was the only person who didn't become president in that group, yet he probably had as much impact as most of them, obviously not George Washington.
He had enough impact that there are a lot of people who definitely think he was president at some point.
Well, a lot of people argue that he may be the greatest American. I've got a friend of mine who will fight you to his death telling you that how spectacular Ben Franklin was and playing the role that really helped set up our government.
Major role, too, in getting the French engaged in the American Revolution. And I think we don't win that war without the French.
That's why we should stop crapping on the French.
That's right.
Stop crapping on my people, because without my people, you'd all be speaking German twice.
But, interestingly
without us, they would be speaking German.
Oh, they would be speaking German.
Interestingly.
He'd be speaking Russian.
They would be speaking German if not for us.
Huh.
I got a funny story. My dad and his partner.
Wait, who was it that said that? That was a recent joke. I feel like
I feel like it's an old joke.
Was it Trump that said it on stage? Like, you'd all be speaking German without me?
Well, he said it in Switzerland where they do speak German.
That's what it was. Yeah. That's exactly what it was. That's right.
Anyway, I will say this. Speaking of the 250th anniversary, did you see Walmart inadvertently have some pretty ominous T-shirts celebrating it? It says the United States of America 1776-2026. It looks pretty ominous.
Like a tombstone?
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yes, it very much had an R.I.P. vibe.
Yeah.
Hey, to tie this together with what we're doing,
Wouldn't you think we'd die on our 250th birthday?
Marketing department probably.
From a historical standpoint, though, and John really is our historian, and
Horses.
one of
He's
the
almost
things
called me a horse's ass.
that really comes through is dire and as crazy as the circumstances that we feel as though we're in today. This wasn't our first rodeo. I mean, we've had some really challenging times. So doesn't it give you just a glimmer of hope at times when you think how gloomy situation is that it's been worse?
Yeah, I'm hopeful. I would say I'm less optimistic about the future of the country now than I was, 10, 20 years ago. But I'm hopeful. And if our structures hold up, I think we can certainly be okay. We need to step back into a leadership role in the world, which I fear we have retreated from in a significant manner, and that can happen. It's a matter if the public's willing. One of the things about the founders that was so interesting is they had the Articles of Confederation. That didn't work. They come up with this Constitution. I think they expected that we'd have several constitutional conventions throughout the history of the country, just because things change, times change, and that didn't happen. This one document from 1787 is still governing the country, and that in and of itself is remarkable. It's the longest lasting constitution in world history.
You're talking about how negative we feel about the situation we're in now, and having the least amount of hope we've probably had in a long time. I mean, don't you think that folks, and it's different now because we can record how we all feel. We know how everybody feels about everything now.
Yeah.
Right?
In an instant.
In 1861, there had to have been a lot of people who felt exactly the same way, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
So this isn't the worst, but then again, that preceded a pretty bad time.
We've survived some really bad presidents. Of the 45 occupants, some of them were really bad, and the country's endured.
On that note, do you think
we're doing it again?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Speaking of bad presidents, but on that note,
I wasn't going to be mean.
Surviving. Do you think we are close to, or we have already reached, the apex of Trump's power/influence? Because as he hits the 2-year mark, we start moving towards midterms, we start looking towards 2028, that the whole lame duck president will actually apply to Trump?
On the domestic front, certainly. In terms of American foreign policy, much less. I mean, he's still got a pretty free reign, and I'm not a fan of our foreign policy currently. I think this Iran war was ill-advised. I think tariffs are ill-advised. I think weakening NATO is ill-advised. I mean, there's little that I've seen that gives me a lot of hope in terms of our foreign policy and our standing in the world.
And I think as the president goes into what we traditionally call lame duck status, means that he will continue to try to expand the presidency through the imperial nature that he's done it. And right now we have a Supreme Court who's willing to rubber stamp that for him. So if that's the case, I fear that even though he's a lame duck, he's going to try to continue to expand his powers. And if the Supreme Court gives him the ability to do that,
Congress really needs to claim back its proper role in our government.
What would make them do it, though? Because I would bet against it 100 times out of 100. It would have to take a change in party leadership. Yeah.
I mean, and that's going to happen.
Or the major parties, majority
and
party.
So that's where my fear comes in, is the president says, okay, I'll just ignore Congress. I'm going to do my own thing, build arches and build ballrooms. That's just a small example of what he could do to try to continue to expand it. Then we go through this legal process where we try to challenge everything the president does. It eventually gets to the Supreme Court, and 9 months after he's expanded the presidency, we finally get a ruling on whether or not he could have done that.
With the Iran war, and I've said this, I know Ron disagrees, but I do think that the administration, if it Trump doesn't like to think things through. He's impulsive and he's lazy, so he doesn't like to do the hard work of making an argument. But if he weren't so impulsive and lazy and he actually wanted to make an argument for the conflict with Iran, I think you could have made some strong arguments to present to Congress and to get the American people on board.
Yes.
And say, hey, this is the reason. This is why, even though their nuclear capabilities have been compromised, their missile system is creating a threat. And if that grows, we won't be able to do this and that. And also, Iran has been for years the largest state sponsor of terror. And their proxies have killed thousands of Americans, and we've had it. And so I think you could have made that argument. But he didn't. He did. He put about as much thought, it seems, into the Iran war as he did the ballroom. Maybe less, maybe fewer arguments. We probably have more arguments for the ballroom than we do the Iran war. And so the American people aren't behind it. Congress, wasn't necessarily behind it. And I ask this because with Iran, Israel has different reasons for attacking Iran than we do. They're just much more immediate. And a lot of times, and I've said this in the past, and you can disagree, but when something would happen in Iran or something would blow up and we would kind of look and they go, it was probably Israel, maybe Europe would condemn it, but behind closed doors, they're high-fiving. They're glad Israel's taken care of it and we're not getting involved. Could Israel have conducted this mission without us? And do you think there's a chance that Trump just wanted to be the guy? And that was the thought he put into it. It was like, I want to do a Venezuela in Iran.
Yeah.
I want to be the guy that blows up.
I think Israel needed the imprimatur of the United States for that attack, and I think Netanyahu convinced President Trump that it was the right thing to do.
Tricked him into it, you mean?
Well, I mean, Amy has a point.
Netanyahu's going to ask for help. They have reasons that are much more immediate. He's going to ask for help.
I tell you though, that guy, anyway. But Amy does have a point. There is a rationale for weakening Iran. And clearly we've had bombing plans on the books for decades on the U.S. bombing Iran. One of them was a classified document that Donald Trump took to Mar-a-Lago. And but absolutely zero preparation. Our allies were unaware. You just don't do that. You don't conduct foreign policy like that. And you do system. Look at every conflict we've had, like them or hate them. The president of the United States went to the people, explained the situation. They were wrong about the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, but it was a rationale, and I don't think they were purposefully lying. I think they had bad intelligence. But the president makes the case. H.W. Bush, before the freeing, liberating Kuwait, made a powerful case. And then we all watched the bombs on television, after an Oval Office address. And none of that happened here. None of it.
That's exactly where I was going or wanted to go with it. You touched on it. This feels like this thing in Iran feels somehow dumber than what Iraq the second time around felt like at the time. Because I remember we went into Afghanistan, which made sense post 9/11. We were looking for bin Laden, right?
Yep.
And then suddenly Iraq's on the table. And I remember at the time thinking, what do they have to do with anything? What are we doing with them? That makes no sense at all. And I think they allowed it. They talked us into it. And I guess I probably softened on it a little bit in the moment at that time, like a lot of others did. But very quickly we realized how silly it was we were there.
You had the neocons that were
But that's what
running
this feels
things. And they regretted not going into Iraq after we liberated Kuwait. And President H.W. Bush was very specific about our objective. We wanted to liberate Kuwait and get out. And that's precisely what we did. But for a lot of those folks, some in the Pentagon and just sprinkled throughout the government, they viewed not taking Iraq as, a regret. And so the rationale occurred, weapons of mass destruction, we're on a roll. And so then off we went.
Hancock and
boy, I miss the George W. Bush days.
Never thought I'd say that.
Oh, man. Hancock and Kelly with us for a little bit longer here on the Chris and Amy Show. Back in a moment on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Broadcasting from the Scott Credit Union Studio, 104.1 FM KMOX.
Summer is on the way. or should I say the heat in St. Louis. It's on its way. Be here before we even know it. If you haven't had your air conditioners checked and set up and ready to go for this cooling season, or if you were told you might need a new one, or you just think this is the time of the year, this year is the time to just go ahead and replace it. Prices are down, 0% financing is available. It's still the best time to call me. Don't put it off. One easy number in Missouri and Illinois. It is 314-293-2600. Again, that's 314-293-2600 in Missouri and Illinois, or on the internet, bartinman.com. That is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
Cards and Cubs. The rivalry returns to Busch May 29th. KMOX kicks off the weekend early when Tom Ackerman hosts a Redbird Roundtable featuring Aussie Smith, Al Raboski, and Matt Adams Thursday, May 28th at the Beer Garden at the Anheuser-Busch Brewery. We're talking ball, enjoying a cold beer, and celebrating one of baseball's best rivalries. The doors open at 4:30. The Redbird Roundtable, Thursday, May 28th. Full event details are at KMOX.com.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Ready or not, summer is coming, and Wayfair's Memorial Day clearance is on now. Right now through May 25th, get up to 70% off everything home at Wayfair. Plus, score amazing doorbuster deals all sale long and surprise flash deals on Memorial Day. We're talking thousands of products at every style and budget. Now is the time to save big on must-haves for your patio, backyard, and beyond. These savings won't last, so don't wait. Shop Wayfair's Memorial Day clearance now through May 25th.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/groundadvantage to learn more.
The final home game of the season is here, St. Louis. Your St. Louis Battlehawks hit the field Friday, May 29th at 7 p.m. against the Dallas Renegades at the Dome at America Center. It's Battlehawk Kids Day, packed with family fun, Battlehawks energy, and an Archie bobblehead giveaway while supplies last. Join Battlehawks Nation. Bring the whole crew and help close out the season the only way St. Louis knows how. Loud and proud. Caw-caw. Because caw is the law. Get tickets starting at just $18 at UFL Battlehawks or Ticketmaster.
You like the word thorough? It's a good word, thorough. It means complete, accurate, detailed. Well, when you go to Ophthalmology Associates, you will get a thorough eye examination. The technology's incredible. It's all up to date, the very latest. And Doctors Birdie, Malhotra, Brusati, and Royer and their staff will make your visit very personal. That's because they believe every patient is unique. Ophthalmology Associates takes all the research and technology and their personal knowledge and expertise and tailor it into an eye care plan that is as unique as you are. Services include everything from expert treatment of cataracts and retinas to comprehensive eye exams for you and the kids, and a full-service optical shop with a ton of frames to choose from. Ophthalmology Associates, 3 St. Louis area locations. Visit youridoc.com or call 314-966-5000.
The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX and the free Odyssey app.
There is a texter to the show at 314-436-7900 who is upset with me because I interrupted Michael's story about his dad.
You did.
Oh, what was that? Oh,
you were going to tell a story?
Yeah, so my dad and his buddy, who was a World War II veteran, were in France. and with their wives, and they went to go fuel up the car. Well, in France at that time in the 1980s, that didn't take unleaded fuel; it took diesel fuel. And this guy, my dad's friend, who was part of the liberation of France, accidentally put regular gas in his diesel car. Right? So they get about 2 miles down the road, and then here comes the tow truck driver, who's laughing at the guy. And my dad's friend, Bob Kortkamp, wanted to kill him. He's like, I liberated you people, and you're going to sit here and make fun of me over blah, blah, blah. My dad was literally having to hold him back.
I liberated you.
Liberated you people. And you're going to make fun of me. But we've all made boneheaded plays like that. I don't know about you guys, but it happens to me when I travel internationally. Maybe it's just a paranoia that comes over me. I bet you would feel this way too. I'm like, I think these people are talking about me.
They are.
Because they're in another language. You're like listening to them and you're watching them on a train.
Are they
and you're
side-eyeing
like, they're
you?
talking about me.
Yeah. You think of the first assessment I do is, how American do I look right now? And let me tell you, get smaller luggage. That helps a lot.
And here's what's funny. When I was younger, I always thought, man, it'd be cool to go over to Europe. And they'd be like, ooh, you're American. And now they'd be like, oh, you're American? That's what you'd get. Guys, our Twitter poll of the week, or Twitter question of the week.
Was
Inspired by Michael Kelly.
You don't say.
Oh.
Yeah, it was.
Hey, now.
The question we asked is, what is the worst parking lot in the area, in the St. Louis area? And we think the winner is, well, we're not going to tell you. What do you think it is?
Well, I think the winner is going to wind up being the Brentwood Promenade. But I'm telling you, from my own personal experience, a place I'll never go again, I don't care where it's at, whether it be here in St. Louis or in another city, has got to be Costco. I've never seen anything like a freaking Costco in my life. I never want to go to one again.
You're not going to be doing any live reads for Costco.
That's right.
Well, we had to pick one, so we did pick the one on Manchester, just west of 141. Yeah, just west of 141, that Costco.
Oh, okay.
I don't know the one on Olive.
Yeah, and everybody did say that one really bottlenecks that Costco. But see, I can't say anything bad about Costco because I love it. Yeah. It's God's country.
Yeah.
They can't help that they're popular.
That's right.
John, I'm going to ask you the question. My assumption is your answer will be all of them because you can't drive. So what is your...
I will say this. People out there do not make the parking spots big enough, wide enough.
They didn't in the Brentwood Promenade. That's proven.
There's nothing more exasperating because, getting a car in between those two lines is,
What if you got one of those itty-bitty cars, like a
smart
smart car?
Yeah, like one of those European...
Oh, I'm not driving that.
A Fiat.
The one that's smaller than the Mini Cooper.
John needs the metal around him.
Yeah.
He's already playing a game of bumper cars.
Right, yeah.
I mean, exactly. If I'm driving one of those things, see, bye. There goes my Social Security.
That's why those famously old people buy the big boats of cars.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But I don't like parking lots generally. And the ones, I'll tell you what, the post office parking lots, because people are always driving in, coming out, and you got to keep your eyes open out there.
You do.
You're backing up. The guy behind you is backing up. That could not end well. So, it's very important to be very perceptive when you're on the highways, on the roads out there, and the parking lots especially.
Be very, very careful.
I don't like them. I don't like this parking lot out here. You can't see the lines.
It's the easiest parking lot.
You can't see the lines. They need to paint the lines.
John, they're there. I see the lines.
They're very faint.
Listen, some days he would come in here and say to me, Kelly, did you see my parking job out there? And I'd be like, yeah. He's like, well, I got between the lines. I'm like, you need kudos for this, pal?
See you, boys.
Bye.
Have fun. Hancock and Kelly with us every Friday at 9 o'clock. When we come back, hey, we're speaking of parking. We're going to talk about a bunch of abandoned cars because Ryan Kroll from St. Louis Magazine just did an amazing piece on this garage with a bunch of cars in it. We'll talk to Ryan when we come back on KMOX.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan with McKelvey Homes. It's a great time to buy a brand new home, and the Reserve at Wildwood is where you want to be. Park-like setting with front porches on every home. Connected trails for exploring, walk to Main Street and Wildwood Town Center, top-rated Rockwood schools, and legendary McKelvey quality you can count on, featuring James Hardy siding. Visit McKelveyhomes.com and learn what makes the Reserve so special. It's time to move up to McKelvey.
Hi, this is Steve Butts from the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. In 2026, our agency celebrates a momentous occasion as we celebrate 65 years of service to our clients, a tribute to our founder and my dad, Norm Butts. Our staff is ready to assist you with all your insurance needs. So please call me, Steve Butts, at 314-752-2500 or at crawfordbutts.com. For auto, home, and commercial insurance needs, that's crawfordbutts.com.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Penalties and interest are piling up every single day. Wage garnishments and bank levies could hit any moment. If you've been avoiding it out of fear, you're not alone. But waiting only shrinks your options and ramps up the stress. The truth is, the IRS settles with taxpayers every day through legitimate programs, and many qualify to reduce what they owe, in some cases by up to 99%. That's why thousands turn to helpwithirsdebt.com. They've guided over 120,000 Americans, resolved more than $2.3 billion in tax debt, and back every case with their ironclad resolution guarantee. If there's no real path forward, you get a full refund, no fine print. They even randomly select one qualifying client each year and pay off their entire IRS balance. Terms apply. Don't let another day pass. Go to helpwithirsdebt.com right now. It's fast, easy, and confidential. Find out what's possible today. Helpwithirsdebt.com. Once again, that's helpwithirsdebt.com.
Stan Musial, he missed a season in his prime to serve his country in the Navy.
Honor a legend on Saturday, May 16th when the Cardinals face the Kansas City Royals. Fans can secure a Stan Musial military bobblehead presented by Coca-Cola and Deerbirds. This patriotic collectible celebrates Stan's Hall of Fame career and his service to our country. A true symbol of character on and off the field. A tribute worth displaying and remembering. Don't miss it. Get tickets and details at cardinals.com/promotions.
Some Sundays are made for the water. Sunday, May 17th, as the Cardinals take on the Kansas City Royals, make it a ballpark day too. That day, you can score a Cardinals boat tote presented by Coca-Cola and Walmart. A classic summer bag that fits right in from the dock to the dugout. It's ready for long weekends, sunny afternoons, and whatever plans you have next. Get tickets now at cardinals.com/promotions.
News, talk, cards. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
It is 10 o'clock and we have partly sunny skies, 68 degrees in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterey. Iran's foreign minister says that a lack of trust remains the biggest obstacle in negotiations to end the war with the United States. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said contradictory messages from the U.S. have made Iran reluctant about its intentions in the stalled ceasefire negotiations. U.S. Army First Sergeant Jose Serrano picked up his wife from an ICE detention center in El Paso, Texas, where she'd been detained for a month.
We got to follow every instruction, go to every appointment, be on time, and continue working with my lawyers and see if at the end we can fix this situation with my wife.
The wife of the Afghanistan war veteran was arrested after showing up for her immigration appointment last month, despite having a legal protection to prevent her deportation to El Salvador. Almost a year after the May 16th tornado, trees are still being replanted in Forest Park. City arborist Jason O'Malley says 1,600 trees will be planted by the end of the season. Crews continue digging out stumps to remove the trees damaged in the storm. Much of the current work is taking place along Skinker and Lindell. There are a number of ways to commemorate or recognize the one-year anniversary of last year's tornado, including working on yourself.
Preparedness doesn't start with perfection.
Wes Burns with Midwest Bank Center says take 30 minutes this weekend to digitize important information and paperwork so you have it saved somewhere other than a drawer in your home, and check your insurance policies.
Biggest insurance surprise is usually discovering what isn't covered in a situation like disaster recovery. You know, I often hear our banking customers comment that they have insurance, and that's wonderful. But having insurance doesn't necessarily mean that you have the right insurance.
A Granite City woman has been found guilty of fatally shooting her ex-boyfriend, 40-year-old Tara Anderson. Found guilty of killing 39-year-old Philip Armstrong outside her home in September 2023. She shot through a fence and struck Armstrong after they had an argument and had told multiple people, according to prosecutors, that she wanted Armstrong dead even before that altercation. She has not yet been sentenced. From the KMOX business desk, it's all about art and music in the Del Mar Loop tomorrow as the second annual Flowering Artists Festival takes over the Loop from 1 to 8. Artists will be creating their art live, including glass blowing. St. Louis-based artist Color Trips will be painting a mural behind Fitz's. She was named St. Louis Artist of the Year in 2024 by the St. Louis Arts and Entertainment Awards. More than 80 artists will have works for sale. There's live music, food, and drink.
Clouds and sun and warmer for the rest of today. The high 85. Mostly cloudy tonight. A thunderstorm spots later on, low 69. The mostly cloudy tomorrow. A couple of heavy gusty storms in the area. The high 83. I'm AccuWeather's John Feerick. On 104.1 FM, KMOX.
From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, it is partly sunny, 68 degrees. I'm Debbie Monterey, KMOX News.
The Chris and Amy Show is video streaming now on KMOX's YouTube, X, and Facebook pages. Click and subscribe.
We'll be talking to Mayor Kara Spencer at 11 o'clock. So about an hour from now, we will speak to her with the May 16th anniversary. That's tomorrow, the one-year anniversary of the devastating tornado that rolled through St. Louis. And Amy and I, for some reason here, as we shift gears, we have a real fascination with abandoned vehicles.
We really do.
I don't know what it is. We had an abandoned vehicle that was outside our building.
For months.
For months and months. We started to decorate it. Then the city took it away finally. I mean, it was
totaled.
It was a piece of crap.
Yeah, it was crushed. But it was outside our favorite coffee shop, so we started bringing Christmas decorations, tinsel.
And then as soon as we started talking about it and making it look pretty,
right,
the city came and took it away from us.
Because I just bought a Christmas tree star topper. Anyway, and when I bought that, that's when they took the car away.
Every Friday, we speak to somebody from St. Louis Magazine, and our guy, Ryan Kroll, said, hey, guys, I know you love abandoned cars. Have I got a story for you? So we are joined now by Ryan Kroll from St. Louis Magazine. There is a garage downtown that's got, I don't know, a museum of abandoned cars in it, apparently. Ryan is with us on the Quiver River Electric guest line. Good morning, Ryan.
Hey, great to be here. The few, the proud, the abandoned car obsessed, right?
So, first of all, we do appreciate that you thought of us first.
We do.
That, you know how much we love abandoned cars in these parts.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. It's just, all sorts of questions. Sometimes these abandoned cars, they're a little worse for wear, but you kind of get the sense when they were abandoned, they were in decent shape. And that really, the sort of mind just wonders what circumstances causes someone to just park and then never come back.
Well, and people are doing that at the central downtown garage where you see all of these cars that have, as you note, thick coats of dust on them. Some of them have bad words on them, but a lot of abandoned cars in this garage particularly. What first caught your attention? Like, how did you find yourself in the central garage and realizing, oh my gosh, there are dozens of cars that look like they've been here for months or years?
And just give people an idea of what garage we're talking about and where this is.
Sure. Yeah. So it's a pretty big garage. It's at 7th and Pine. It's right next to the Hotel St. Louis, which is a great establishment. It's got a really good restaurant. It's beautiful inside. And then it's catty corner to the Railway Exchange, which is, just a sort of perennial, eyesore that no one quite knows what to do with. So it's in a sort of very, it's like in a sort of part of downtown where I sort of feel like you see both all of downtown's problems laid out as well as like downtown's potential. So it's in this really interesting section of downtown. And yeah, what got me interested in it was about 3 months ago. And I've been reporting on sort of all things parking in the city for some time, but it was like 3 months ago, way back in February, Treasurer Adam Lane, he's the one who sort of controls all things parking in St. Louis. He was proposing to purchase a parking lot in Midtown, actually, by SLU. And he wanted to pay something like, I think it was $3.5 million for it, which was way more than what sort of appraisers said this thing's actually worth. And his whole thing was that he wanted to not only operate it as a parking lot, but eventually wanted to kind of develop it into some sort of mixed use, maybe parking / retail, maybe retail and housing. So he had sort of grand ambitions. So I was just kind of curious, like, how are the properties that Treasurer Adam Lane already has in his portfolio, how are those faring? And this parking garage seemed like the best one to look into because it is parking, but on the first floor, on the ground floor, there's quite a bit of commercial real estate as well. So it sort of is this hybrid thing that he's got going. So I was just curious, how is it doing? And then, it took me about 30 seconds of just walking around this garage where it's just like, oh my God, there's so many very obviously abandoned cars in this thing. What in the world? So that's how I went down this path.
I highly recommend people read your story at St. Louis Magazine because you note all of these cars, like some of the plates that expired in 23 and they have the family decal, and it's all covered in dust. Another car had a sticker slapped on it that said you have 48 hours to get it out of the city of St. Charles, and somehow it found its way to this garage. Well, what does the treasurer's office say?
Yeah, so they have. I've done quite a few stories about the treasurer's office in the last few months. About him for giving his own parking tickets and for gifting ex-girlfriend free parking around the city. And I gotta say, despite my sort of best efforts to get word from them, they've just totally been silent. I sent them a bunch of emails over the course of reporting the story, and the only thing I heard back from them was that I would eventually hear back from them, and but I never actually got anything of substance. And I think that's probably because they're probably, to the extent they care about this, I think they're probably just as flummoxed as everyone else. They don't know how these things got there. So I don't know that they have any good answers.
Have you gotten to the bottom of who wrote "I'm a dirty girl" on one of these cars?
No, I think that was probably a comment on the car rather than man. I would assume. Damn. I don't know. It's hard to say for sure.
And we don't really have any idea because they're all coming from different places. It's not like one person has all these cars and says, I'm going to go park it in that garage and leave it there forever. And as you mentioned, some of them look like they might actually be drivable. So what happens next here? What recourse does the city have? Does the city even seem to have any interest in doing something about it?
Yeah, I think the city. So I will say, I'm really actually curious to get your guys' thoughts on this as well. Just anecdotally, I've noticed that around downtown, the city has been doing a much better job booting and towing derelict cars. I've just sort of walking around myself. I've just seen the crews pull up and throw those boots on. So it does seem like they're making real progress sort of on downtown streets. I do think, and they would basically admit this, they would say that the abandoned cars and the garages are just a slightly lower priority because as far as like eyesores go, they're a little more out of sight. And then also it's just logistically difficult to get like a tow truck into a garage and then tow the cars out. But I'm have you noticed any difference? Like, for instance, I've seen a lot of folks who I think got used to just kind of being able to park wherever without paying for it for the past, almost decade. And now that the parking division is bringing the hammer down, sometimes those boots are not super well received. I actually saw one woman who kind of discovered that her car had been booted, and then she grabbed one of those anti-theft clubs that people put on their steering wheel, and then she was just whacking the boot with it until the cops showed up. So has downtown gotten any better?
I haven't noticed. Personally, I haven't noticed any difference. I really don't think I've seen a car boot in years.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of golf cart boots but people do that when they park their golf cart so the golf cart doesn't get stolen.
Okay. Yeah.
But I haven't seen like hey, you have parking tickets or you're not where you're supposed to be, so we're putting a boot on your car and you better pay us to get it back.
Now that you mentioned, I have seen one boot. I can't remember where.
Tell me about it.
But no, I saw one boot. I feel like where I've been driving, a lot of it has been the Tucker where they repaved it and then they built those bump outs. So some of the roads I've been on, I feel like I've seen fewer cars primarily because they're doing work on those roads. But you're right. I'm going to have to be more observant around other than Tucker.
Ryan Krull from St. Louis Magazine is with us. And Ryan, you wrote the story, and we talked to you about it weeks ago, that the city had all these cars with thousands of dollars in unpaid tickets, and they were not enforcing it, or they didn't have the resources to enforce it, or whatever it is. Have you seen any difference? Have you been able to measure if there's a difference, or is that the kind of thing where we'd have to wait some time to get some actual numbers?
Yeah, actually, sort of anecdotally, I've definitely seen some difference. Like there was this one incident too. I felt this is like the opposite of the woman with the club. I was at SLU one day, and this poor woman had just defended her PhD thesis. She had become, I guess, a doctor, right? Technically. And she was leaving that thesis defense, and she walked outside, and her car had a boot on it. So I had as someone interested, I just had to talk to her about it. But anyway, she said it wasn't gonna, ruin the achievement of that day. So that was nice. But still, I felt a little bit bad for her. But yeah, no, this is all to say, I think the city said that just in downtown alone, in the months of March and April, they booted and towed 230 cars off the street.
Wow.
And then and then this next number has a bit of an asterisk behind it because they were doing very little booting prior. But I know the treasurer's office did say they have to present their budget publicly every year, and they did that last week. And they said that revenue from the booting program is set to spike what I assume is like an unprecedented amount of 485% from year over year. So that would all suggest that there is, as haphazard as it may be, and sort of as in fits and starts as it's happening, there is some real progress being made in terms of getting some of these derelict cars off the street.
We have a texter who is asking the question, and I just want to make sure we're visualizing this correctly, and I don't think it is, but they want to know if the garage we're talking about is the one by Hotel St. Louis that is supposed to be torn down by the city. Is that a different garage, or is that the same one?
Oh, well, it is by the hotel. Oh, yes. Okay, yeah, that was a great question. So it is right across the street from that one that's going to be torn down by the city. That's the one. I'd be lying if I said I knew all the nuance, but that garage is somehow associated with the railway exchange. So, it'll probably get torn down along with it. Yeah.
The one around Gito's, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Or the old Gito's.
And a quick question about the booting. They are booting cars that have a certain amount of parking tickets already, or are they just they're not booting first-time offenders?
Yeah, so the official rule is that you have to have, I think it's 4 tickets that you haven't paid for 90 days or something like that. But even then, just sort of anecdotally, anytime I see a boot on a car, I'll just run the license plate through the city system and see how much they owe. And I've yet to see anyone get booted who didn't owe $3,000 minimum. It's usually a lot higher than that. So they're really going after the worst of the biggest offenders here.
Just to remind us, what was the greatest total of tickets for one car that you remember in that story?
Oh, I'd have to double check. It was I think it was maybe around $50,000.
That's what I thought. Yeah. That's right. $50,000 in parking tickets for one car.
Yeah. And then actually there was one that I think the last time I talked to you, I may have inadvertently given you a little bad information because the biggest offender, the one that had $45,000 or something like that, it also had under a different set of plates, but you could kind of see it was the same car. It had $25K under a different set of plates. So the big spenders here, or the big scofflaws, were even bigger than I thought the last time we talked about this.
Well, there is just as we wrap this up here, there is a huge party that's happening this weekend. It's happening tomorrow, actually. The parking division of the St. Louis Treasurer's Office has an all-hands-on-deck with parking amnesty for eligible parking tickets. Up to $100 in fees will be forgiven. So it's between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. at Fairgrounds Park. Stop by, take advantage of this opportunity, and get your tickets forgiven. So I guess you have to show up in person?
Yeah, you do. They do these from time to time. Yeah, and I think they're fairly popular. Yeah, folks can go get if you have some unpaid parking tickets, just go, get them wiped clean. I would love to see. Oh my God, I'd love to be a fly on the wall though if that the guy who owes that $50,000, if he walks up to the table and just says, "Hey, can we work out a deal here?"
Yeah. So you no longer owe $50,000. It's $50,900.
Yeah.
So you get $100 taken off. Why do I have to? Why I think I have an unpaid parking ticket.
Do you?
I think so. Why would I have to go? How come I can't just fill out a form or something? How come I have to go to this fairground park?
I don't know. I think the treasurer's office can be sometimes be a little bit too. I'm not sure exactly what the word is. Baroque. Maybe something like that, a little bit too overly complicated. Like they spend a lot of time with this college savings programs for kids. All these things that just sort of don't seem like they have a whole lot to do with the core mission of the treasurer's office, which is really to sort of just run the parking. Like that's 90% of what they're supposed to do. And I feel like they devote maybe closer to 10% of their time on that, and a lot of other time on some sort of extraneous type stuff. So that's just my opinion, but that's kind of my take.
Reminds me of a sheriff who all he had to do was transport inmates, but instead he got new cars and golf carts. Just do your job, buddy.
Hey, and I'm going to tell you something. Ryan, let me tell you, if there is anybody who can squeeze as much content out of parking issues as you, I'd like to meet him. You're exceptional. You're prolific, and we love you. Thank you for being with us again.
Well, hey, I appreciate it, guys. Happy to talk about parking anytime.
Ryan Kroll from St. Louis Magazine.
A Rococo Treasury Department. It's a little too Rococo.
Yeah, so go tomorrow between 10 and 3 to Fairground Park, which is near the Greaterville neighborhood, Natural Bridge Avenue. And you can get your up to $100 in parking tickets forgiven by the city. How come I have to go there?
Just do it.
Can I just send a text?
Go.
It's Chris and Amy on KMOX.
I'm fixing to tell you something that the insurance industry does not want you to ever hear. Bullies often delay and deny. I see them sitting on premiums paid and making money and dragging it out for as long as they can. Many times, we're forced to take them to court. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Their high-paid lobbyists are on a mission to make sure that at trial, jurors are not allowed to learn that the at-fault party has insurance, and in some cases, lots of it. I can think of no case in all my years where there was no insurance for the at-fault party. So let's fight back. It's all these bullies understand. Tell everybody you know the truth. If you've been injured in a car crash or hurt at a store or business, visit forthepeople.com. We're here 24/7. It's that easy. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At Audion Hearing, our mission is simple: to make better hearing affordable for everyone. We're proud to offer high-quality, rechargeable hearing aids starting at just $98. Clear, comfortable, and ready to use right out of the box. And here's a study worth hearing. Research shows that wearing hearing aids can reduce your risk of dementia by up to 61%. Join over 1 million happy customers and hear the difference today by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast paint by a lot, backed with our 25-year transferable warranty. Paint a house, shield a home. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, steel, aluminum, cedar, and more. We are the only coating company selected by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal. where all 3 episodes concentrate on unpainted brick. If you maintain or own a business with a tired-looking building, you owe it to yourself to look at Rhino Shield and our beautifully durable color schemes. Evaluations are free. We're making buildings pop and be noticed again, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks, exceeding expectations every day with our products, people, and performance. Now's the time to call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or go to 877-25rhino.com and see how honest and transparent we really are. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Let's talk about Air Medical memberships. In an emergency, you don't choose who transports you. Dispatch sends the closest, most appropriate aircraft. Here's what matters: speed, skill, advanced care. Like critical care crews trained for the toughest moments. Like onboard blood that can make the difference between life and death. Arch Air Medical Service delivers life-saving air medical care across Effingham and surrounding communities. When you call for help, we bring hospital-level care to you. Plus, we're part of Air Methods, the nation's largest air medical provider. And about the cost, the No Surprises Act protects patients with private health insurance from unexpected out-of-network air ambulance bills. You're only responsible for your in-network copay, coinsurance, or deductible. Medicare and Medicaid patients have similar protections. No surprise bills, no balance billing, no membership required. Because when it's your life on the line, what matters isn't membership, it's medicine. Learn more at airmethods.com. Copays, coinsurance, and deductibles are set by insurance providers, not Air Methods. Terms and costs may vary. Contact your insurer for details.
Caw-caw! Your St. Louis Battlehawks are back at the Dome Saturday, May 16th at 2 p.m. taking on the Houston Gamblers. It's Hats Off to Heroes Day, plus fans score a free Battlehawks hat while supplies last. Get your tickets now at UFL Battlehawks. Caw is the law.
Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Chris and Amy on KMOX 104.1 FM, and we are glad you're hanging out today. It's a nice day here in St. Louis. It's going to get hot.
It's going to be warm.
Gross.
85, little humid, probably. Hey, well, let's just, since we're on a roll here, we did mention earlier that there's that downtown revitalization bill that is headed towards the governor's office today, and they're hoping that it does spark hundreds of millions of dollars in development in downtown St. Louis. It passed the state legislature yesterday.
This is HB 3231.
So this bill would allow cities to create innovation zones, and then they would be able to access all of these economic incentives for residents, employers, developers, and investors. Innovation zones would be governed by a city's chief executive officer, or those who act on their behalf. And if the bill is made law, a city's executive branch will be responsible for submitting their master plan for its proposed innovation zone to the Missouri Department of Economic Development. And we've seen these different zones before, like the entertainment district for the new development. Obviously not necessarily an innovation zone, but maybe it falls under that umbrella, but it's an entertainment district which allows you to kind of run it like its own little city in the same way that Disney World does, or a similar way. So this is good. The more that we can do to revitalize downtown and incentivize businesses to come downtown. One of the bill's incentives is a $50 million annual office to residential conversion tax credit for developers. Why? Well, maybe you can start redeveloping those abandoned buildings like the AT&T Tower.
Which is
And I'm totally fine with tax credits. I know some people get really mad at TIFs, but you know what? The buildings are sitting there, and we need to help people develop them.
I don't think you can make a blanket declaration that all TIFs are bad, right? And I do believe that there are some people who just don't like giving tax incentives. And maybe in a city that is already thriving, like New York or Chicago or one of those cities, you probably want to hand out fewer of those because you need the tax revenue. And we need the tax revenue from these businesses that would inevitably come in. So what you would do, I think, is you give the incentive for, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, but then say, hey, after a period of time, you're going to have to start paying taxes like everybody else. But for me, we are in this, it's almost like an emergency situation where you don't want to give away everything, but you want to make it as cheap as possible to get something going, because we just can't, we simply cannot have a downtown that is completely dead, which is almost what we have. And when you look, the whole thing with the Mets broadcast team that was here a few weeks ago, and they were talking about it on the air. And in fact, one of the guys who was part of that conversation was former Cardinal Todd Zeal, who is he's a Mets broadcaster. And they were talking about how dead the city is. We can't afford to let that mindset, that opinion of downtown St. Louis fester. So if that's what people from the outside feel about us, then we're in bad shape. So whatever we can do to spur any kind of development in the city, I think we kind of have to do it. Yes, eventually we're going to need that tax revenue, but it's okay, I think, to just say, look, I mean, there's already nobody using these spaces. There's already all these empty lots or decrepit buildings that need to come down. Just come in and do something with them, because there needs to be building happening downtown in this area.
And to add on, the bill that was passed would also resuscitate the Missouri Downtown Economic Stimulus Act, and that was a key part for both St. Louis's Ballpark Village and Kansas City's Power and Light District.
I cannot wait until that Millennium Hotel site is ready to go and they start building that new complex. It's really going to be nice. Jen Cease, St. Louis City SC broadcaster, joins us every Friday. City just had a game on Wednesday. They won, and they're going to play again very soon. We're going to talk to Jen about that when we come back on KMOX.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Before YouTube DIY videos, before skip ad, before don't forget to like and subscribe, there was KMOX. And this Saturday, we're still at your service. At 8, the Garden Hotline with Michelle Reeser-West, sponsored by Chesterfield Valley Nursery. At 11, the Home Improvement Show with Rich Orris, sponsored by Mosby Building Arts. So, skip the videos and get it done right. KMOX is at your service, starting Saturday at 8.
With summer here and the kids home full-time, your garage door will see a lot more use. Do it a favor with annual maintenance from Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. The 26-point tune-up is one price for up to 3 garage doors and openers. Get them all done. Trusted in St. Louis for 100 years. Always look for the genuine, the original red ribbon of Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Since 1926, they're never going to steer you wrong. Schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
Now, KMOX weather from the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk.
It is partly sunny out there and 69 degrees. Nice. It'll be a high of 85 today, and then a thunderstorm late tonight and a low of 68.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. Cards and Cubs. The rivalry returns to Busch, May 29th. KMOX kicks off the weekend early when Tom Ackerman hosts a Redbird Roundtable featuring Aussie Smith, Al Raboski, and Matt Adams Thursday, May 28th at the Beer Garden at the Anheuser-Busch Brewery. We're talking ball, enjoying a cold beer, and celebrating one of baseball's best rivalries. The doors open at 4:30. The Redbird Roundtable, Thursday, May 28th. Full event details are at KMOX.com.
You know, most sellers put their home on the market and they just wait to see what happens. Well, I'm Kevin Wheeler, and I'm here with Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And Gloria, is there a better way to sell?
There is. Instead of listing your home the traditional way and hoping for the right buyer, I can get you up to 8 competitive cash offers right from the start. That means you're not guessing what your home might sell for. You're looking at the real offers and choosing the one that works the best for you. It also helps you to set the right price and create stronger demand if you decide to go to market. It gives you control, leverage, and a clear path forward before you accept just any offer. And remember, I'll guarantee to sell your home at 100% of the market value, or I'll pay you the difference.
Before you sell your home, see what your options are. Call the one that I trust. That's Gloria Liu, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession.
The final home game of the season is here, St. Louis. Your St. Louis Battlehawks hit the field Friday, May 29th at 7 p.m. against the Dallas Renegades at the Dome at America Center. It's Battlehawk Kids Day, packed with family fun, Battlehawks energy, and an Archie bobblehead giveaway while supplies last. Join Battlehawks Nation. Bring the whole crew and help close out the season the only way St. Louis knows how. Loud and proud. Caw-caw. Because caw is the law. Get tickets starting at just $18 at UFL Battlehawks or Ticketmaster.
Get inside your Redbirds in the 2026 season every Tuesday at noon. It's All Access with Cardinals manager Ollie Marmol on your voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
Ball sprays out of bounds, and that takes us to the final whistle. Your final score, St. Louis 1, Colorado nothing.
That's right. City SC with a win on Wednesday, and now they've got a game coming up tomorrow on the road. They will take on DC United as the City SC team, but looking a little bit better than they did at the beginning of the season. We are joined now by Jen Cease, City SC broadcaster on Y98, and Jen is with us every Friday. How's it going, Jen?
Happy Friday, guys. It's really great to see City get a win in the Mile High, which is a hard thing to do, and then turn around and do it against the black and gold LAFC here at home. I feel like they're riding some momentum, and hopefully they can do it this weekend.
Do you think is it just my imagination, or do they actually look better lately?
I know they do look better. When you look into like the quality of the goals, like that might have been, it probably wasn't, but it felt like in a very long time, the first goal against LAFC, which involved 5 City players, it was the first build-up goal. You know, we can score off set pieces, we can score in transition, but it's the first time that really City had the ball, had it in possession. It went from Timo, involved Marcel Hartl, San Bin, Edward Luden, and then finally with Thomas Totland, that is exactly what you want in soccer. You want multiple people. It's a game of shapes. It's a game of rectangles and triangles, doing rotation, and then putting the ball in the back of the net. It was exciting, and it was so happy to see it in front of the fans who were super pumped.
So do you feel like there's some momentum now from a rough start to the season that now they can keep this going, or is it going to be every match is going to feel like you're fighting for a win, if that makes sense?
Well, I think it's kind of fair to say it's both. I think you can definitely ride the momentum, but the momentum is about to stop. So City's in the middle. We're on game 3 of 5 in a 15-day stretch. And just like everybody in the MLS is in the same kind of boat. So it's kind of more of like who's managing their legs better, who's got fresh people on the field. I mean, you still have to execute your system, but LAFC, and I take nothing away from City's win, they were exhausted. Their legs just gave out. It happened to them in the game before. They got pounded, I think, by Houston 4-1. That is not a scoreline you see against LAFC. So there's just so many games in a short period of time between regular season and whatever cup you're running for, Open Cup, Champions Cup, and then also the World Cup break. So everything's got to get in to that certain number of games they wanted to have before the World Cup break, which starts on May 20, after the games on May 23rd. So yeah, it's kind of a little bit of both. how good are you at managing your players at recovery? How good can you execute your system? And then how much do you have to dig into your bench, which City now has another player out, Jaziel Orozco. So we've got 3 now out and looking for, new ones to step into either covering for the injured or just covering for the fact that somebody's legs are dead from playing 2 nights ago.
So, Jen, they've played 12 games, and they've got 12 points. They are not that far out of a playoff spot right now, even though they're second to last in the West, and there are multiple teams in between them and that final playoff spot. But it's not like insane to think they could squeeze their way in, right?
No, it's not too late yet. Not too late. But you have to, you can't lose. Can't lose often. You can't do what City's done over the last couple of years. And remember, we had a lot of ties that made Amy mad. Can't do that. And you have to grab those 3 points. Those 3 points are everything. You can take a team and look at the standings at the end of a night, right? All the teams are playing, and all of a sudden the teams jump 2 or 3 spots because they just got those 3 points, and the guys ahead of them didn't get any points. So yeah, it's not a foregone conclusion right now, but winning is the game, and they've got to keep doing it as much as they can through May 23rd, and then utilize that break. It's a long one. I think we talked 6-7 weeks. It's a long break that we're not used to having, and then get back into it. And it's going to kind of feel like a second season because all the teams, if you don't have guys that are out on the international break playing for the United States, which City will not have any, then you've got that time to get everybody back in shape. There'll be a transfer window coming up. So you could be looking at a really different team when we come back.
You win a game tomorrow in D.C., and you're a point with the same amount of games played. You're a point behind Colorado, who's got that last spot. So, and granted, Portland's also played 12 games, I think, and they're ahead of you. So you'd have to hope they lose their next one. But still, I mean, that's not, they're in decent position. You're right. They just have to. They can't squander any opportunities.
That's a perfect way to put it. And that means whether it's grabbing the points or closing out games. I mean, this last game against LAFC was that first one where I remember looking at Dale at halftime and saying, have we talked yet about City managing, a lead or just after halftime? Because they haven't. They've chased leads. They've chased to tie. But they haven't been the dominant team that's had to manage that lead, which is a different way to play. So yeah, it's not a foregone conclusion. It's something they can absolutely do. But the game plan of Yoann Damet to continue to work, 1, 2, guys have to be flexible in it, and 3, I think it's fair to say that we're starting to see a little bit of flexibility from Coach Damet in terms of, like, I'm going to give you an example of Sang-Bin Jung. Sang-Bin is a direct, straight-on, fast player. He's not a guy that you're going to look to circulate the ball backwards with, get around a little bit with. He's got a mission. And if you put him on the field, you know his mission. And I think, it took a little bit for Coach Damet to learn to use those players that maybe aren't an exact match for his system. So I feel like it's kind of coming together.
You talk about a 7 or 8 week break and how City could look like a different team after that. Is that frustrating for a team like Vancouver or San Jose? I mean, Vancouver's played 12 games. They have 9 wins. We just mentioned St. Louis City has played 12 games. They only have 3 wins. So if you are a team like Vancouver and you're on top of the league, do you hate that break or do you like it because you're confident in your ability and you can rest your guys?
That's a really great question, because if you are on that, kind of dominant, we're a force to be reckoned with, we can win every game, you kind of don't want to take that break, right? You want to keep going with it. But some of those teams like a Vancouver will have guys out on international breaks. So for them, not having to play in the MLS while you lose maybe some of your top players to the international game. We've had that happen before where players, they're from other countries as well. They get called out. Kyler Hebert, Canadian national team, he's been called out several times over the years. And then you have to figure out how to cover for them. So I think probably all in all, it's a welcome break. But yeah, you have to come back and say, when you're playing somebody again, maybe for the second time, that might not be the same team.
Jen Cease, City SC broadcaster on Y98, is with us on KMOX. And so let's talk about this game in D.C. Tomorrow. That will happen. So it's, one of those short rest kind of weeks because they just played a game a couple of days ago. Now they're going to play in Washington. What is that like for a team when they're they're playing 2 games in, 4 days?
Yeah, there's a 2-day turn for them. Johan Domain talked a little bit yesterday about how, if he could, one more day having Wednesday, Saturday game and then a Wednesday game is a lot easier to manage than a Wednesday to Saturday because you've got two days in there. So what it's gonna look like also is how does DC look? DC just lost to Chicago. Chicago's a very good team. We've been able to beat Chicago. DC's very aggressive, but yeah, the guys are tired, and it'll be interesting to see who we put out there. You're going to recognize some people on the pitch for DC United. You've got Jared Stroud, Lucas Bartlett, and Jose Kojima, who are all City players. They're all difference makers over at DC United. So, and nobody, you guys, wants to lose to a former teammate or a friend. Those are the worst losses ever. So I would imagine that City's going to come out pretty chippy. They're going to be happy to see their old teammates, but definitely go at it. I think it's going to be an aggressive game, and it's an earlier start on the East Coast. So it's a 6:30 start with a 6 p.m. pregame on Y98.
What have you made of Roman Berkey's performance this season so far?
Is he part feline? when he makes some of those saves, I used to have cats, and they could jump like this crazy and twist their body in the air. I'm like, he's like a cat. I think Roman is at his best on reflex saves. We all know that saving a penalty kick is a very different goalie skill than saving while you're having 2 and 3 shots ricochet and kind of, reflex saving. It reminds me of probably maybe how maybe hockey goalies feel, because I don't even know how they see anything with all their pads on.
Right.
But yeah, Roman is one of those who thrives on a lot of action. So I think that, one, it's great to know that we've got somebody of his potential back there, or his quality, not potential, to come up with those big saves while we're still trying to figure out how to get the ball in the back of the net at the other side of the field. And his leadership back there as well. The older they get, the smarter goalies get, the better leaders they become. So, yeah, it's just a quality that's almost unmatched. He's had a couple of other goalkeepers like a Brad Stuver, other ones that are also great quality. But he was fantastic to watch, and it just seems like he doesn't miss a step.
All right. Oh, real quick, Edward Leuven, he's been, he made his return a couple of weeks ago, so he's been back with the team. He's gotten minutes. How do you think he's looked, and how has he been after everything he's gone through?
Yeah, that was a hard press conference to sit in when he decided to talk to all of us. I can't say my eyes were dry, but I'm impressed with the fact that he even wants to play right now. I mean, she died in March, I think, and that was not very long ago. So I think he looks great. The one biggest thing for Edward Leuven isn't his quality. It's just getting him back to game fitness, because that was not his priority before. It shouldn't have been. So, how many minutes can he go? And then the biggest question, I think, was how Johan Domain was going to use him, because there were guys in spots, and Edward Leuven doesn't necessarily fit in that same formation the same way. And he's turned out pushing him a little bit higher up the field, which should make fans pretty happy, because that means he's going to be involved in a lot more attacking action. He was part of that first goal that City got with Thomas Totland. So I think he's doing great as long as we, as City manages his, desire and where he is mentally and emotionally, and he's able to do that. We haven't seen the best of Edward Leuven yet.
Jen Cease will be listening to the broadcast at 6 o'clock tomorrow for the pregame, and the game itself starts at 6:30 on Y98. You will be on the call. Looking forward to it. Thank you again, Jen.
Thanks, guys. Happy Friday.
Jen Cease, City SC broadcaster on Y98. Again, 6 o'clock. The broadcast starts tomorrow. I will be pulling a doubleheader tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Got the Orioles-Nationals game, and then it's a 5-minute walk to the soccer stadium there.
Nice.
In Washington. Going to see City and DC United play.
Now, that'll be fun.
It will be a lot of fun.
Look at you.
And you know what this weekend is? It's rivalry weekend in baseball.
Oh.
So if you go through the rivalry, like the slate of games, you got Cubs-Cardinals. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Cubs-Royals happening, or Cardinals-Royals happening this weekend. You got like Brewers, Twins, Yankees, Mets, all the teams in proximity. It's a big weekend, MLB. You could bet those games on FanDuel because it is rivalry weekend, but also it is a good time for golf. That's right. And FanDuel is the clubhouse leader for betting major golf. Did you know that? Because right now, all customers can get a 25% profit boost every round of the second major. Boost your winnings on anything from outright winners to round leaders to tournament matchups, and there's so much more to do on FanDuel. And as I have been telling you, the app is intuitive. It is easy to navigate. All the information you need to make a wager is there. FanDuel.com/Missouri and get started now. That's FanDuel.com/Missouri to download FanDuel and take your swing at boosted winnings, and the best of luck to you. Have some fun with it. Must be 21 or over and present in Missouri. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Broadcasting from the Scott Credit Union Studio, 104.1 FM KMOX.
Save big money in your next project when you shop at Menards. Pittsburgh's Ultra Advanced Semi-Transparent Exterior Stain and Seal-in-1 can be applied to damp wood, allowing you to clean the surface and stain in one day. Save big on Ultra Advanced Wood Stain today. View our entire selection of stains and accessories on Menards.com. Plus, check out our weekly flyer to find all the great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
At EasyCater, we believe every workday gets better with great food. The 9 a.m. staff meeting? How about breakfast burritos and lots of coffee? Big client presentation at noon? Let's do Mediterranean bowls. Accounting's gotta work late. Keep them pepped up with spicy noodles. With EasyCater, you get a huge variety of favorite restaurants with tools to help meet dietary needs and stay on budget, all on one platform. So make every workday better with EasyCater. Start an order at easycater.com.
Get everything you need for the entire job delivered. From lumber to drywall, flooring, and fixtures, get it all delivered from the Home Depot. With same day, next day, or any day delivery. Staying on track and on time is crucial to your job. That's why it's our job to get you what you need when you need it. We deliver the supplies. You deliver the results. Brought to you by the Home Depot.
You know, here in St. Louis, word of mouth still matters, and I'm pretty careful about who I recommend, especially when it comes to something as personal as estate planning. I'm Tom Ackerman. My family has been working with the Lederman Law Firm for over 20 years now, and the reason is simple. They don't just create documents and send you on your way. They help make sure your plan works. Because let's be honest, life changes. Family needs and circumstances change. Laws change. But most estate plans don't change over time as needs, circumstances, and laws change. They're outdated, sitting in a drawer. People assume they're fine, and their plan will work when they need it to work. At the Lederman Law Firm, it's not a one-time transaction. It's an ongoing process. They build a plan to protect your family and your assets, and then for a fixed annual fee, they help keep it up to date as both your life and assets change. Check out the Lederman Law Firm at LedermanLaw.com or give them a call at 314-514-9100. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
Chris Raunchy, Amy Markscores, because life is too short for boring radio. 104.1 FM KMOX. Now, did you see this? With Chris and Amy.
Ranj, I feel like this would be one of your biggest issues if you were a pro golfer, which you are not. But a South African golfer, Garrick Higo, I think that's how you say it. So the PGA Championship yesterday, but Garrick Higo showed up late for his tee time.
You can't do that.
So he was assessed a 2-stroke penalty.
Dude, you can't do that.
I mean, you have one job. It's to golf and to show up for your tee time. How are you late for a tee time at the PGA Championship?
I don't know, but you kind of have to be there.
And wouldn't you're not rolling into the parking lot, getting out of your car and walking straight to the tee box. Like, don't you get there super early, maybe have some coffee, some orange juice, put on your little golf shoes, make sure your golf shorts are straight, and then walk out? I don't know how you cut it so close.
I don't either.
You show up early. It's the PGA Championship.
It's like
What's
it would
his
be like
reason? It better be a good reason.
It would be you have 7:05 first pitch. It'd be like showing up at 7:06.
Yes.
And you're the starter.
You're the starter, and it's like, listen, you should have been here 4 hours ago.
Where have you been, pal?
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine it. Anyway, but he did okay because he shot one under par, even with the penalty strokes.
Amy, did you see that the president has picked a person? Let me just give you the headline.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that
Let me
because
just
it's
give you
not
the
going
headline.
well so far.
Okay. Because this is a better way to present
Okay.
this to you. This is a headline from News 18. Okay. It says, stiff opposition. Trump picks penile implant specialist for hantavirus briefing.
Oh!
It's
Okay.
So this is true.
Hold on. Can you say that again?
Brian, okay. Stiff opposition.
Yeah.
Trump picks penile implant specialist for hantavirus briefing. So yesterday, there was a briefing on the hantavirus outbreak. Brian Christine, he's an Alabama urologist, and he was confirmed as the Assistant Secretary of Health. That was last year. And he hosted a podcast at one point called Common Sense. Well, he had him leading the press conference on hantavirus yesterday.
I feel like
I love the headline, though.
that's a great headline. I don't get it. I mean, maybe he's a dual specialist.
Well, you would
Or
have to
maybe
be.
the president doesn't know the hantavirus main symptoms. I'm not sure.
The hantavirus has nothing to do with
Like,
your.
I don't know what the hantavirus does, but you better
doesn't
make
do
sure
that.
it doesn't mess up that.
Well, I don't think it does.
Well,
then I mean, if there's a possibility it does, then I think we should have a penile specialist address every medical concern. Don't you think? Because if that's the worst thing that can happen,
yeah, it's interesting.
then that's the most important doctor, isn't it?
Oh, I think you guys think that's always the most important doctor.
I know.
Anytime there's an issue in our country, like, oh, people don't want to take the COVID vaccine. Well, if you tell people that the COVID vaccine will, and I bet everybody would take it. They would.
Obviously. Amy, did you also see that last night David Letterman was a guest on the Stephen Colbert
did.
show, on Late Show. So obviously Colbert replaced Letterman on a show that is coming to an end for good next week. And whether or not you like Colbert, that I think it's a bit sad the Late Show is coming to an end.
Just the whole history of it.
Yeah.
I loved Letterman.
So
oh, man.
Letterman, they went on the roof of the Ed Sullivan Theater
Yep.
yesterday, and they were throwing stuff off of it.
I loved when he
Okay.
did that.
They were throwing chairs.
Yeah.
They're like, we're going to go up here and destroy CBS property.
But he
So they're
used to throw stuff off the
Yes,
roof.
he used to do that all the time. And then for a while, he couldn't get clearance for it. So now they're doing it again, and they're throwing
pretty
chairs.
funny.
They're throwing desk chairs, and they're throwing watermelons
Yeah.
onto the logo of the CBS eye.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, Letterman, who has no love for CBS anymore, it seems, he says, Colbert asks him, would you like to say anything? And Letterman says, good night and to CBS, good night and good luck, mother blankers.
Oh, that's so sad.
And if you don't know, good night and good luck is how Ed Murrow used to
Yeah.
sign off on the broadcast. So,
Yeah.
CBS is undergoing some changes.
I
I'm not
just-
sure they're for the better, but they undergoing changes. We're losing CBS News Radio, which is crazy, but
So
new
when it comes
leadership.
to the late night shows, I know we've talked about this. Yes, I don't stay up and watch them. And everything I see from a late night show is always a clip. It's a cliposphere, the next day.
I think that's
But-
about everything.
But I miss the fanfare and the anticipation of the 10 o'clock news ending, and then you would hear the big bands play, and you'd have the cameras panning over in quick shots across a bustling New York City, and the lights and the streets and the traffic and the taxis and the pizza and the big voice going, Tom Hanks and Renee Zellweger. And you just, I loved it. And I miss that we don't have that anymore. And we won't ever go back to that because everything has been, balkanized in entertainment. But I miss the fanfare of the late night show and what it used to be.
I did too. And unless there is a fictional narrative kind of show, people aren't sitting down to watch a whole anything anymore, which kind of sucks. That's Amy Marks Kors. I'm Chris Ranji. We talked a lot about tornado recovery, and a lot of people believe that it's happening way too slowly. Well, the 1-year anniversary of that storm is tomorrow, and when we come back, Mayor Kara Spencer will be in studio with us on 104.1 FM KMOX.
I love days like these at the pool, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. I'm ready to make a splash with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza. Skyrizi is a prescription-only injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. At 4 months, most people saw 90% clearer skin when measured from head to toe, and many were even 100% plaque-free. People also saw significant improvement in psoriasis symptoms of pain, redness, itching, and burning.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Now there's nothing on my skin thanks to Skyrizi, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis. Visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
Is your garage door past its prime? Get a free repair or replacement quote from Renner Garage Door. Renner is America's oldest family-owned garage door company that serves both wholesale and retail markets. Right now, get $100 off a new garage door when you mention this ad. With trusted brands like Delden, Amar, LiftMaster, you know it's built to win. Renters also hire experienced techs and installers. RennerDoorSTL.com. Forward and back.
RENNER, RENNER.
Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight, and we are discussing esophageal cancer with Dr. Raymond Jin.
We're starting a program here in the upper GI space called PREVENT. That's the acronym, and it's really aimed at trying to detect these cancers early and even to kind of, reverse them and understand kind of the science behind why they form.
Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, visit siteman.washu.edu.
Kicking back on your patio with a nice cold beverage, listening to the game, enjoying family and friends, a little barbecue, maybe the shade of the pergola. Who knows what your outdoor space looks like? Or maybe it doesn't look like much and you need some help. Call Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best. They're like your summer headquarters to make sure that your outdoor space is ready for all the celebrating or relaxing that you have planned. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best for 58 years. A family-owned local company that does quality work, and that makes it a real value because when Chesterfield Fence and Deck does your project, it is going to last for years to come. And they'll offer you 48 months interest-free financing if you mention me, Debbie Monterey, sent you. So you can visit them in person in the Chesterfield Valley or online right now at chesterfieldfence.com. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best.
Celebrating 100 years of informing and entertaining. KMOX AM St. Louis, KMOX FM Hazelwood, the voice of St. Louis.
It's 11 o'clock. We've got some sunshine and some clouds in downtown St. Louis. It's 71 degrees. I'm Debbie Monterey. The nation's busiest commuter railroad could grind to a halt tonight. 5 unions representing half of the Long Island Railroad's workforce are set to go on strike a minute after midnight, barring a last-minute deal. Africa's top health agency declaring an Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo, reporting nearly 250 cases and 65 deaths.
It's on the border with South Sudan and Uganda. You're dealing with gold miners, migrant workers, ADF militants in the area, which makes it harder for healthcare workers to do the contact tracing and the testing. So there are a lot of factors here that make this a pretty high-risk situation.
That's Dr. Celine Gounder, CBS News medical correspondent. The World Health Organization says there is no proven cure for Ebola, and the average fatality rate is around 50%. If your home were destroyed in the next natural disaster, would you have access to all the records you need to move ahead? Wes Burns with Midwest Bank Center advises people to take 30 minutes this weekend to digitize important information and paperwork.
Ask yourself, can I prove who I am? Do I have the proper documentation saved and secure somewhere else that I can continue operating my business? Can I access my insurance policies? Do I have my passwords? Do I know the phone numbers of my banker or my insurance agent to contact them quickly to start the recovery process?
Burns also says many businesses and homeowners should check their insurance policies. He says just having insurance isn't the same as having the right insurance that will cover natural disasters. New York City Council is considering banning surveillance pricing, where customers are charged different prices for the same items.
Some grocery stores, rideshare companies, airlines, and other businesses have been tapping into shoppers' personal data to charge some more than others. New York State Assembly is also looking to ban surveillance pricing. Bronx Assemblywoman Emerita Torres.
Prices change so quickly, not based on supply and demand anymore, but based on who you are, your location, your mouse clicks. We're being surveilled.
Supporters of surveillance pricing point out it also offers some customers discounts. Michael Wallace, CBS News, New York.
The Humane Society of Missouri's Bark in the Park is tomorrow at Tower Grove Park. It runs from 8 to 2. The event is free, features activities including a 5K, which you do have to pay and register for, as well as performances by the Purina Incredible Dog Team and lots of activities for dogs and kids. From the KMOX Business Desk, the St. Louis Zoo launching the largest public campaign in its history. The zoo has been privately raising funds for the last 5 years to hit a $170 million goal. Now, with just $18 million left to go, the zoo is asking for help from the public. Those funds will go towards the St. Louis Zoo Wild Care Park in North St. Louis County and the new Henry A. Jubal Foundation Destination Discovery Project at the existing Forest Park location. That will open in the future, but the Wild Care Park is set to open in 2027 with free admission for county residents.
Partly sunny and warmer for the rest of today, the high 85. Mostly cloudy tonight, a thunderstorm in the area later on, low 69. And then a few heavy gusty storms possible tomorrow, the high 83. Hot for Sunday up to 92. I'm AccuWeather's John Feerick on 104.1 FM KMOX.
From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, it is 71 degrees with sunshine. The weather is sponsored by Financial and Tax Strategies. I'm Debbie Monterey, KMOX News.
Chris and Amy now. The Dave Glover Show at 1 on the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
We are going to talk to Mayor Kara Spencer in just a moment, arriving to the station, and we will have a conversation with her as the tornado anniversary is 1 year tomorrow. It had been 1 year ago that the devastating storm ripped through St. Louis, destroyed thousands of homes, and, it is still the recovery process certainly for those who have been affected is not fast enough. And I don't think that you could argue it is going well, at least if you're one of those people who has lost their homes. You probably feel like it isn't going the way you want it to go, but I would imagine that's true of any devastating incident like that. And we are going to talk to the mayor about that in just a moment. We also will have Stu Durando on the show talking about the potential SLU-Mizzou basketball game happening in November. And we are now joined by Mayor Spencer. It's good to have you with us. How are you?
I am good. Thanks for having me today.
Sure. It's good to see you and good to have you in. And as we sit here today, I know that you've been talking about this a lot lately. How do you see the status of the recovery right now?
Oh, that is a tough question to answer. It's it's both and. I mean, on the one hand, I recognize how slow recovery has been, particularly for folks who have lost everything, but at the same time, I am enormously proud of the work that our city has been able to do in many ways, as well as the nonprofit organizations and so many just citizens, neighbors helping each other. I'm enormously proud of our community while also recognizing we have just an enormous amount of work still left to do.
You mentioned that it's gone slowly, and we do know that it was this week the city started demolishing some of the homes that were eligible for FEMA reimbursement. And so Why did it take a year for that just now that started?
Yeah, there's been so many pieces here. In many ways, the city became the national guinea pig in how this new FEMA is responding to disasters, really pushing the responsibility on cities and states. And as we've been navigating the last year, understanding what is eligible and what isn't eligible under FEMA has been an enormous challenge. The city has a lot of vacant buildings, many of which were condemned prior to the tornado. We believe that presented an undue burden for the city of St. Louis, and we were really hopeful that FEMA, and in particular that the Army Corps of Engineers would own that work as they have in other disasters. And frankly, they, in my view, should have here, because that large scale of work is something that is outside of what the city has the capacity to do. And we've had to bring in consultants to help us along the way.
There has been hundreds of millions that have been appropriated to the city from the state, from the federal government. Are you saying that they are just not as cooperative as they need to be?
I don't know that cooperative is the right word. I mean, look, the state, one of the silver linings here has been the partnership between the city and the state of Missouri and our federal partners, where historically and where we are on the other side of the political aisle. We have had very constructive partnership with Governor Kehoe, with Senator Eric Schmidt, Josh Hawley. We've had some good constructive partnerships that have gotten us to where we are right now. But, FEMA has been a roller coaster in some ways. They've been operating, not operating. There's been a re-envisioning of how FEMA interacts at the federal level. Our state partners have been great at helping us. They own the FEMA demolition project. There has been a great constructive partnership there. The state of Missouri is no stranger to disasters. In fact, I believe the state of Missouri has more federal disasters than any state in the United States right now. We have a lot of these, and we have as constructive a relationship with FEMA as possible, but there have been a lot of challenges and a lot of shifts along the way.
I know it's been a terribly difficult year, and you took office in April last year, and then an unprecedented natural disaster happens 4 weeks later. Also, when you take office, there's a lot of changeover. There's new staff members. There are members that have been let go. And I know you said it was the recovery process, I believe you said, was kind of like building an airplane while you're in flight. So now, having had a year under your belt, and knowing that there was a lot, maybe not the experience working with FEMA and disaster, do you look back and say, anything that you can look back and say, oh, I learned this, I would have done this differently?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, hindsight is 20/20, of course. But you're right. I mean, I took office 6 days after an election, and this disaster hit 4 weeks after that, as you pointed out. I think most mayors would still be, would not even be sworn in by that time and would be building their teams. And unfortunately, the city of St. Louis didn't have that luxury. I took office and we were building out a new team, evaluating who from the existing team we wanted to provide an opportunity to stay. So we were still very much in that building phase. But that being said, we also had a city government that was really struggling to do basic things like snow removal, trash pickup, and things of that nature. So we very well understood that we had a lot of work to do to build out the city's infrastructure in general, we've been doing that work. So setting up the recovery office has allowed us to focus not only on the recovery, but allowed us to also start to really improve the basic city services that our citizens rely on, that the recovery relies on, building permits and things of that nature, to make sure that we are making those processes more efficient, more effective.
What would you have done differently specifically regarding recovery after the tornado?
I think there are a few things. Understanding what FEMA has been able to provide, I think I would have made some of the demolition work move faster, certainly. But we, like I said, did not have a full understanding until recently of what FEMA would cover and what they would not cover. And we were really pushing for some additional funding on that side of things. If we would have known that the Army Corps of Engineers was not going to come in and own that project of demolition and debris removal, we would have accelerated that here locally. We could have accelerated that here locally. And there are a handful of other things. We have a home repair program. We have, since I've been in elected office, that has had extremely long wait lists. Folks have historically and consistently waited many years to get home repair dollars from the city of St. Louis. And so while we did invest some initial money into that program, hoping to try to accelerate it, we learned that was not going to be the case. So we had to stand up new programs to develop home repair programs, recognizing that the things that we had in place here just couldn't scale. And that was a big challenge.
Talking with Mayor Kara Spencer, and you mentioned the Army Corps, and there was the story about the meeting that was supposed to take place, or they had asked to have a meeting, and there was some disagreement over what that meeting was going to be about. What exactly happened there?
One of our state representatives, who's also on the board of an organization that represents the Mississippi River and cities along the Mississippi, invited us to a meeting that they were having with some of the stakeholders in the Army Corps. We have been meeting with the Army Corps.
This is Wellenkamp?
Yes, right. That's right.
Yep.
We have had dozens, literally dozens of meetings with Army Corps leadership throughout the ranks of the Army Corps, with and without our state partners. And that has, while, of course, we welcomed the opportunity to have a discussion about the Mississippi River, where we could have also sidebarred about tornado recovery potentially, we also recognized we had literally had dozens of these. And so, under no circumstance did I believe that was going to be a game changer. In speaking with Representative Wellenkamp before that meeting, after that meeting, and even recently. And so it's been unfortunate the way that's been characterized, considering just how many meetings we had with the Army Corps throughout their ranks. But again, things can be twisted and represented in different ways by different stakeholders.
Would you say that you have exhausted every dollar or avenue that you could to try and get help for the people of St. Louis?
Gosh, that's an impossible question to answer. Of course, there's always there's always stones unturned. I mean, I wish we had a staff of thousands, and I wish we had the resources to really tap into every resource. But I will say that tapping resources is not something that has ended. I mean, we are going to continue to do this work for many years ahead. I'm enormously proud of the work that went into the Rams bill that we presented here this morning at the Board of Aldermen. And, that is an enormous opportunity to work with stakeholders, both at the private philanthropic side, as well as other, the state side, to leverage those dollars to make sure that they can go further than they otherwise would.
Again, North City hit so hard, and it's devastating, the damage there. And I know you mentioned that there have been a lot of volunteers and community, and seeing the community together. It can be something that's positive to see that, but also like a year later, there's the question of, well, why is it on volunteers to do some of that debris removal and trying to get the demolition and advocating for North City? It feels like that's been really, really delayed from the city.
Well, let's talk about this. I mean, when you look at how the tornado impacted the city of St. Louis versus Clayton, for example, or even the Central West End, and I think it's been pointed out rightfully so that where we are a year later looks very different. But the reality is that North St. Louis has been neglected for decades. And, in areas like Clayton, you didn't have a need for mass shelter. You didn't have a need for crisis counseling. And you didn't have a vast number of homeowners that didn't have insurance. Let's face it, no city on the planet, including St. Louis, is set up to be able to repair thousands of private uninsured homes. The city of St. Louis was not prepared to do that. We were not prepared to be able to remove debris or demolish homes that were uninsured. We just were not. And I don't believe any city is prepared to be able to do that work, particularly to be able to do that work in a year's time. the city of St. Louis, like Clayton, was able to pretty immediately, provide life-saving services through our police and fire departments. We were able to remove the massive amounts of trees from the right-of-way and to offer a service to our residents to put private debris into the right-of-way. And we spent many, many months removing hundreds of metric tons of debris from the right-of-way. But to be able to go on private property and to resolve issues that private citizens have is just not something that any city is equipped to be able to accelerate and do on a massive scale like what we saw here. And, we've been building out the programs to be able to do that to the best of our ability. But when the federal government refused to come in and do that debris and demolition work like they did in Joplin, for example, to task a city who was challenged to remove snow just a year ago to be able to do that work and simultaneously do the work that the rest of the citizens of the city of St. Louis need is an enormous challenge.
If the city was denied that help from the federal government, do you have an answer as to why? Do they tell you, hey, this just isn't our job to fix this?
Well, look, I mean, FEMA is directed by the President of the United States. And, there's just a new orientation here. And, there's been some major shifts as far as the responsibility and the role that FEMA plays in disaster response. And, I think it's important that we look at this as a community and learn from it and understand what is our local role here now in disaster response. As the federal government is shifting that responsibility on states and local governments, we should be asking ourselves, as clearly we need to be prepared. Should the city of St. Louis be prepared for a tornado in the same way Brentwood, Clayton, and every municipality should? Should everyone have huge staffs that are ready to be deployed? Should we have another disaster, an earthquake, for example, or should we start to regionalize this type of response? And my argument is that we should absolutely regionalize these things if we're not going to federalize them. And my argument is that we should have a federal government that could step in. I think it's saddling local communities with this is akin to having every city or state have its own standing army. I think it is an inefficient and an ineffective way of being prepared for events that are very, very unlikely. These are once-in-a-lifetime events to take place.
But because you are the mayor of the city, there are people who are going to look at you and say, well, it's not the president, you're the mayor of this city. Mm-hmm. Why hasn't enough been done here?
And you're right. They have been saying that. I think at the same time, looking at, the massive destruction of un- and underinsured properties, you're right that there are still a lot of unmet needs. However, as I've mentioned, no city is prepared to be able to come in and repair damage for thousands of uninsured properties. That's just the case. No city is prepared to be able to do that at the drop of a pin or the drop of a tornado.
And speaking of that, this is something that is a Washington issue, but the Community Development Block Grant for Disaster Recovery, which is HUD money, and Joplin got over $110 million after their tornado, after flooding in 2017. There were storms, HUD money, 2019 HUD money, but this is the first Missouri disaster on modern record to not get any of that HUD money. And it's different because, as you mentioned, FEMA money, so people know, is a lot of temporary relief, like debris removal. So 84 of the 90 million is temporary relief. FEMA doesn't rebuild neighborhoods and communities. The HUD money does. Did you know about the HUD money? We didn't get really a clear answer from Representative Bell when he was asked about the HUD money. Did you know about it? Who's advocating for this money?
Oh, we absolutely know about that money. That money is critical to the future work that we need to do. And we've been advocating for it and will continue to. I have to give a shout out to Senator Eric Schmidt, who's been a great partner in this. I speak to him on a very regular basis, talked to him about this again yesterday, and we are going to continue to push for that. Those HUD dollars, the community development, the city of St. Louis gets community development block grant funding every year. But the Community Development Block Grant funding disaster relief designated funds are different, and they are not allocated on an annual basis necessarily. They're allocated in a package of disaster relief funds. And so the city of St. Louis's allocation, and while we haven't received those funds yet, that's because a set of funding hasn't been available nationally. And we absolutely are in line to get those funds. And we've been working with our federal delegation to make sure that we are in line to get that. But that will be as part of a bigger package, so thinking about the fires in LA and other big disasters that would be on the receiving end of those funds, making sure that the city of St. Louis is packaged in the next allocation of those is critical to making sure that we get those. We've been advocating for them, and we will absolutely continue to do that. That those funds are critical.
So some of this Rams money, there's an expectation that some of it will be allocated to the north side. So what exactly does that look like, and where is that money spent? Because there are people out there who say, well, why should those homes and uninsured people get all that money or get any of the Rams money?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, so you're coming at this from all sides, right? Why isn't the city done all this repair work? And then the other folks who say, why is the city going to do any of this repair work? And, my argument is that, I've talked about, the city not being equipped to just be able to deploy, to make whole the $2 billion, almost $2 billion worth of damage that we saw as a result of this tornado. But when you look at why folks are un- and underinsured there are decades of disinvestment in North St. Louis that have resulted in upwards of 25% vacancy. It's very, very hard to insure a property on a block that has a high level of vacancy. And, oftentimes these properties are purchased for far less than it would cost to rebuild them. And so insuring them for replacement cost is cost ineffective. And so it doesn't necessarily make sense to insure them at the level to be able to replace them. So we are advocating for, and through the RAM settlement dollars, we'll be allocating funds to some home repair. They're not home repair projects that will completely rehab someone's home. What we're looking to do is stabilize and make these properties safe and secure. And so with the proposal that we introduced at the Board of Aldermen this morning, $110 million of the $250 would go to not just the tornado impacted area, but North St. Louis. Because look, we have a vast amount of infrastructure in North St. Louis, including our water department, our streets, our parks that are enormously expensive to maintain. And we've got to repopulate. We've got to, first of all, keep all the residents in North St. Louis that were there on May 16th that morning. But we've also got to repopulate North St. Louis with taxpayers and with residents that can make North St. Louis a part of our community that can support itself.
So, Mayor Spencer, as we say goodbye here, tomorrow is May 16th. We know where we are right now. What is your specific goal for May 16th of 2027? So a year from now, where do we need to be and where are you going to be?
Well, it's not just a year from now, but, as we've seen following Joplin, for example, that was a over 10-year trajectory. So a year from now, now that we've got the programs in place to do the demolition, we've got the partnership established with the state of Missouri to deploy start to deploy their $100 million allocation to the city of St. Louis, the FEMA funding, the FEMA eligible demolitions, and the city work is underway. We're also deploying the home repair dollars, as I described, and we'll have the RAMS funds allocated in a way that can start to transform some of these neighborhoods and implement some of the neighborhood plans that can start to revitalize the neighborhoods in North St. Louis. It's tough work, but again, a year from now, we're going to see those programs well underway, and we're going to continue to see that work for many years ahead.
Mayor Kara Spencer, thank you for stopping by. Good luck to you in this, and we appreciate your time.
No problem. And I do have to give a shout out to Bike to Work Day. It was Bike to Work Day, and so I've got my sticker on. I hope you all...
Did you bike here?
I didn't bike here, but I did bike to work this morning, as I do many mornings.
And we got the bike lanes now.
That's right.
That hopefully people don't park in.
Yes. Yeah, we've painted them green, so
Yes,
they've
good.
become a little more obvious. All right. Have a good day, guys.
You too. Mayor Kara Spencer with us, Chris and Amy on KMOX.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. My best advice to you when hiring a lawyer for your injury case is simple. If you know court personnel, ask them who they'd hire. They know. If you know an insurance adjuster, ask them. They know. And then ask them about us. Ask them about Morgan & Morgan. They know. I look forward to talking to you soon. There's only one Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm for the people. Injured? Dial pound law.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merit.
Lifestyles Unlimited wants to help you take control of your financial future. And it starts with real estate. Learn a step-by-step approach to building income. It's the same education that's helped thousands shift how they think about money, wealth, and opportunity. For a limited time, you can join for just $297. Take action today. Text RADIO to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007.
Lunch was great, but this traffic is awful.
Can we stop at a bathroom?
Are you all right?
I keep having stomach issues after eating, like diarrhea, gas and bloating, abdominal pain, and sometimes oily stools.
Sound familiar? Those stomach issues may actually be a pancreas issue called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. Creon pancrelipase may help manage EPI. Creon is a prescription medicine used to treat people who can't digest food normally because their pancreas doesn't make enough enzymes.
Creon may increase your chance of fibrosing colonopathy, a rare bowel disorder. Tell your doctor if you have a history of intestinal blockage or scarring or thickening of your bowel wall, if you are allergic to pork, or if you have gout, kidney problems, or worsening of painful swollen joints. Call your doctor if you have any unusual or severe gastrointestinal symptoms or allergic reactions. Take Creon as directed by your doctor and always with food. Do not chew capsules as this may cause mouth irritation. Other side effects may include blood sugar changes, gas, dizziness, sore throat, and cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon. Call 800-633-9110 or visit creoninfo.com to learn more. That's CREONinfo.com.
I'm asking my doctor about EPI and if Creon could help.
Hey, Missouri, it's game time. Start betting like a pro with the world's largest sports book at your fingertips. Hi, I'm Derek Stevens. I'm a lifelong sports bettor, and I'm the owner of Circus Sports. It's sports betting, the way it should be, with high limits, player-friendly pricing, exceptional customer service, and more. Download your new bookie at circusports.com. The action starts now, Missouri. Experience the difference with Circus Sports. Bet like a pro.
Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Neovitin began with one doctor's mission to help others feel their best. After years of caring for patients, Dr. Ken Ribicki, a St. Louis physician, created Neovitin, a line of multivitamins designed with quality, safety, and everyday wellness in mind. Each formula is made in the U.S. using the finest domestic and international ingredients to support real people living real lives. Discover the difference today with Neovitin, available at Schnucks, Dierbergs, and neovitin.com. Neovitin, trusted nutrition from St. Louis for St. Louis.
Caw-caw! Your St. Louis Battlehawks are back at the Dome Saturday, May 16th at 2 p.m. taking on the Houston Gamblers. It's Hats Off to Heroes Day, plus fans score a free Battlehawks hat while supplies last. Get your tickets now at UFL Battlehawks. Caw is the law.
100 years, one legendary voice. Relive KMOX's century of service. Classic audio, photos, videos, and more at KMOX100.com.
Just had a conversation with St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer. That entire interview, if you missed it, will be on KMOX.com, will be on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast as soon as the show is over. Or maybe it's even available now. I'm not quite sure. But I do think that she's, you know, it's a difficult position to be in, especially as you pointed out to her, a month being in the office, still trying to set up an administration, and then this happens. I don't think she's been perfect in the response, but this is to me, it's a much larger problem than what one city can handle by itself.
Yeah, well, and with so many questions, right? Too little time. What we know is that there's assessed $1.6 billion in damage from the tornado. Well, St. Louis has $360 million from state and federal help, $138 million from the city itself, but that's a $1.1 billion gap in funding. Where does that $1.1 billion come from?
That's Amy Marks-Kors. I'm Chris Ranji. We will shift gears once again here because we learned yesterday that St. Louis University men's basketball, so the Billikens, might be playing a game against Mizzou at Enterprise Center in early November. Multiple reports on that. We'll talk to Stu Durando, who covers Billikens basketball, next on KMOX.
Before a nation, there was an idea. Before freedom, there was a sacrifice. This year, KMOX marks America's 250th birthday. Step into history with John Hancock and Michael Kelly, Sunday mornings at 8, as they pull you into the moment where everything was on the line. This is the sound of a nation being born. Celebrate America, 250 years strong, with Hancock and Kelly, Sunday mornings at 8, only on KMOX. Now, KMOX weather from the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk.
73 degrees and pretty sunny out there. Breezy this morning. Otherwise, just very warm with times of sun and clouds. A high of 85 degrees. Tonight, a low of 68.
I love days like these at the pool, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. I'm ready to make a splash with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza. Skyrizi is a prescription-only injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. At 4 months, most people saw 90% clearer skin when measured from head to toe, and many were even 100% plaque-free. People also saw significant improvement in psoriasis symptoms of pain, redness, itching, and burning.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Now there's nothing on my skin thanks to Skyrizi, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis. Visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
With summer here and the kids home full-time, your garage door will see a lot more use. Do it a favor with annual maintenance from Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. The 26-point tune-up is one price for up to 3 garage doors and openers. Get them all done. Trusted in St. Louis for 100 years. Always look for the genuine, the original red ribbon of Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Since 1926, they're never going to steer you wrong. Schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
Why would life-saving care require a membership? In a real emergency, are you reaching for your wallet or your phone to call 911? And what if the member helicopter isn't the closest one? What if they don't carry blood on board? What if those differences matter? They do. Arch Air Medical Service is proud to serve Effingham and surrounding communities with life-saving air medical care. Our highly trained crews deliver advanced medicine in the air because when seconds count, capability matters more than a card in your wallet. Plus, we're part of Air Methods, the nation's largest air medical provider. Worried about cost? Here's the truth. The No Surprises Act protects patients with private insurance from unexpected out-of-network air ambulance bills. You'll only pay your in-network copay, coinsurance, or deductible. If you have Medicare or Medicaid, similar protections apply. Providers cannot bill beyond those limits. That means no air medical membership is needed. Learn more at airmethods.com. Copays, coinsurance, and deductibles are set by insurance providers, not Air Methods. Terms and costs may vary. Contact your insurer for details.
It is rivalry weekend in baseball, and you know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of that old St. Louis, Kansas City rivalry that is ongoing, and FanDuel right now is introducing rivalry weekend bonus blasts. Bet on a home run this Friday and get bonus bets for every home run that player's team hits this weekend. So whether you're backing a player on your favorite team or you're going to fade the rivals, there are more ways to get in on that action, and you can just decide how to do it. FanDuel.com/Missouri to get started. That's FanDuel.com/Missouri. This app is easy to use. It is intuitive. It's got everything you need right there. FanDuel is your home for home runs. Must be 21 or over and present in Missouri. Opt-in required. Must apply bonus blast token. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Today, the Cards, the Royals.
Ameren Total Access 620. First pitch 7:15.
Cardinals Radio. 104.1 FM KMOX.
Boy, this would be huge if the Billikens and Tigers played a game at Enterprise Center. You know, we've already got the bragging rights game that happens every December with the Fighting Illini and Mizzou. Wouldn't it be something if the Billikens and Tigers play the month before that? To discuss is Stu Durando with us. He's been covering Billikens basketball for almost 2 decades. You can read his Stu on SLU Substack, and he's with us now on KMOX. Good morning, Stu.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. Man, this would be huge. So from what I understand, it's not official, but it looks like it's very close to happening.
Yeah, it's all but, confirmed by a lot of people that the discussions are happening. No announcement. I'm traveling, so unless something happened this morning that was announced and I missed it, it's not official yet. But yeah, it's been a long time coming. It's been 25 years. I was at the last time they played, which seems like a lifetime ago. And I remember just the hoopla around the game back then, and so it would probably even be multiple times that now.
Is this just one of those situations where Mizzou didn't have anything to gain from playing SLU, which is, SLU's story that it's hard to get these bigger schools to play them?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people I think had given up hope on this happening just because that was always the line. Every year we'd go to SLU coaches and, what about playing Mizzou this year? Oh, they don't want to do it. And it just kind of, you would ask the question, you knew what the answer was going to be. And in the environment now, it seemed even less likely just because, the power conference teams like Mizzou aren't, wanting to play the good mid-majors. So people had almost given up on it, I think. There was still some hope. But, we've gone through a lot of different coaches since the last time they played, and maybe we just now landed on two coaches who see things differently and are willing to do it.
From what I've read, it looks like this could be a multi-year thing where it's not just a one-off. They're going to play this year or potentially play this year, and then, we'll see if it happens again. But it could be, 2-3 years or something like that. Does that, from what you understand, is that most likely that if this game happens, it won't just be a one-year thing?
I've heard different things. I've heard the 3-year proposal, and then I've also heard that they might just get the one game done and then work on something more after that. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. When they did it the last time, it was a 3-year deal, and it was at the Dome and then Savas, what was then Savas Center, and then Hearns Center. And so, maybe they do a couple if they do 3 years, maybe they do a couple at Enterprise, or maybe all three, or maybe do 2 and 1 with Columbia. There's a lot of different ways it could go. I don't know if Mizzou would be agreeable to playing at Chaffetz if it was a 3-game series, but I know SLU's probably just thrilled to be able to have the opportunity.
So what is the benefit for Mizzou? Because we were just talking about this a minute ago, and as you mentioned, teams in the SEC or ACC, Big Ten, don't really like to play the good mid-majors because they could take the loss, and that would be a ding on them, and winning the game doesn't really seem to do much. But is there more benefit from Mizzou now than maybe there would have been 10 years ago?
Well, 10 years ago, SLU wasn't very good, so I think it would have been more of a risk, if you lose the game at that point, because it would have been a pretty bad loss 10 years ago, whereas now it wouldn't be as bad a loss on a neutral court, and they have more than enough good games in the SEC to make up for one loss early in the non-conference. So to me, I've never understood necessarily why it would be such a gamble for a school like Mizzou, because you do have so many good opponents, and they beat a lot of good opponents last year in conference play. So, I mean, you can make up for one loss if you do happen to lose it. If you win it, it's a good win. It's no longer just looked at, you beat SLU. That's nothing. You're playing a potentially top 25 team. So, and then plus it would be Mizzou coming into St. Louis, and they like to get into St. Louis and have their presence. And if you can get a win over SLU in St. Louis, it certainly would probably help more with recruiting, although they do pretty well with the recruiting as it is.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question, that the regional, I would think, count for something.
I lost you.
Oh, sorry. No, sorry. I just said the regional draw with Mizzou being in St. Louis would have to count for something for sure.
Amy?
Oh, I think we lost Stu, or Stu cannot hear us. I'm not sure exactly what's going on. Maybe we got an issue with our phones here.
What? Not us.
No, I mean,
that's not us.
Can't believe that would happen.
But yeah, to that point, I do think having Mizzou and SLU play in St. Louis, like Stu said, having Mizzou play at Enterprise Center in St. Louis.
The more they do it, the better for them.
Yeah, if they get a win, it's great. But man, I just cannot believe how basketball, sports in general, is far and away just the best advertisement a university can get. And, man, wouldn't it be fun for SLU to make a little bit of a deeper run into the tournament just because of that?
Well, we have Stu back, and
I'm back.
Obviously, that would be what Amy's talking about here with the Billikens making it to the tournament earlier in the year and getting that first round game, getting a second round game. How much benefit is there? Is it measurable how much benefit there is for a program like the Billikens if they can get to a second round or maybe make it to a Sweet 16 or beyond that?
Measurable, I think they were hoping that it would be measurable in terms of scheduling. I might have missed part of what you were saying when I got cut off. I'm outside of Walmart in North Carolina. But
North Carolina, got to be careful.
Yeah. What was I saying? I'm losing my train of thought now.
Yeah. Scheduling, you say, could be benefited by a deep run.
But then, and they thought they might benefit from, getting to the second round last year, but it turned out that all the teams that they contacted in the power conferences didn't want to play. Then Mizzou comes through. I don't know if there was an early discussion that was turned down or what happened, but maybe winning a game last year and having the season they had did help in terms of getting Mizzou for next season. That wouldn't have happened if they just flamed out in the tournament.
Well, hopefully this does go down. This game between the Billikens and the Tigers, November 6th is what the reports are, that it would be played, and then we'll find out if it does happen, if it's just a one-off or if it is a multi-year deal. But before we say goodbye here, Stu, this team did bring back Josh Schertz. There was that possibility he would move on somewhere else. He's not. They did lose Robbie Avila to graduation, so he's no longer available. What do you think of the Billikens' incoming class? We did talk to Coach Schertz a couple of weeks ago at the Billikens Golf Classic, and obviously he is excited about the class coming in, but how do you feel about it as you see it?
Yeah, it's interesting because they kept so many guys who were part of last year's team, but they were mostly guards and perimeter players, and they had to completely rebuild the inside. And, they targeted getting size and height and lost out on some guys who went to bigger schools. Ended up with what's a fairly young batch of portal guys. There's one senior, but you've got some players who haven't had as much experience who are going to have to learn in a hurry. Which will be interesting if they're playing Mizzou in their second game. That gives them one game to get ready. So they're young, they're super talented, very high ceiling potential-wise with Sheik Pearson and some of these other guys inside, and they're just going to have to mature really quickly to blend with the experienced guys who are coming back.
Stu Durando covers Billikens basketball for Stu on SLU, the Substack. You should read it and read his coverage. He's been doing it for a long time here, and he's excellent at it. Stu, we appreciate your time. Enjoy North Carolina, and don't let the Hill people get you while you're there.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me. Sorry for the audio problems. I don't know what the Hill people are. I'm headed to the beach.
I feel like North Carolina's got a lot of Hill people. I don't know.
I don't know.
Do they have hills there?
Oh, my gosh.
Well, just watch out for them, okay?
We'll do my best.
Thanks, Stu.
Guys.
That's Stu Durando.
Hey, when we come back, we have to talk about the Waymo invasion, right?
We do, but we also have to do the week out of context.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
We have to get to both.
Okay.
So let's get them both. When we come back, we'll do that on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Just a reminder to have your air conditioner checked for the summer so you don't have a mishap and it goes down in the hottest day of the year. But it's always best to have it done. Call us, and we'll be more than happy to come out there and check it for you. And like always, if you're having your furnace checked by another company and you are told that this is the year you need to replace it, call me for a second opinion. The 0% interest is still available on most brands. Save your cash and keep your credit cards open and away from those high rates. Call me. You'll be glad you did. Bart Inman, one easy number in Missouri and Illinois. The easiest. It is 314-293-2600. Or on the website, bartinman.com. Now that's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
You know, here in St. Louis, word of mouth still matters, and I'm pretty careful about who I recommend, especially when it comes to something as personal as estate planning. I'm Tom Ackerman. My family has been working with the Lederman Law Firm for over 20 years now, and the reason is simple. They don't just create documents and send you on your way. They help make sure your plan works. Because let's be honest, life changes. Family needs and circumstances change. Laws change. But most estate plans don't change over time as needs, circumstances, and laws change. They're outdated, sitting in a drawer. People assume they're fine, and their plan will work when they need it to work. At the Lederman Law Firm, it's not a one-time transaction. It's an ongoing process. They build a plan to protect your family and your assets, and then for a fixed annual fee, they help keep it up to date as both your life and assets change. Check out the Lederman Law Firm at ledermanlaw.com or give them a call at 314-514-9100. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
St. Louis, are you ready to go Hardy?
I woke up on the wrong side of the truck bed.
The country rock hitmaker behind Truck Bed. Wait in the truck and one beer. He's bringing his No Holds Barred live show to Hollywood Casino Amphitheater June 5th. With special guests Cameron Whitcomb and McCoy Moore. Hardy, live, loud, and unapologetic. One night only. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. For more information, KMOX.com/events.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Renewal by Andersen is the #1 window and door brand for customer service. Schedule your free inspection today. Call 877-WINDOWS. That's 877-WINDOWS. Or head to rbastl.com.
Broadcasting from the Scott Credit Union Studio, 104.1 FM KMOX. The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX. Now, a look back at this week's Chris and Amy Show, out of context.
Loins have been girded and Jerry's have been mandared.
Including the white-bellied seed snipe.
Is it gigawatts or gigawatts?
I don't.
Idiots.
This is why, if you are a bird watcher out there, you need to get rid of your hobby.
Methinks.
Do not say methinks again.
Nope, it wasn't. Wrong again, KMOX.
No.
Wow.
That's a bunch of winners in there.
What a show.
Every Friday we play the week out of context where we try to figure out what the hell we were talking about in those moments.
We don't remember what we've said. We're on the radio too much.
Here's a game. Go ahead, Matt Pajeski. Tell us what we've done.
All right, Amy. Defend this.
Loins have been girded and Jerry's have been mandared. Well, that was super easy. That was a conversation we had with Scott McFarland.
But it was about gerrymandering.
And, well, part of it was about gerrymandering, but the girded loins, I said, was if the president had actually made an argument to Congress and the American people for conflict with Iran, maybe we could have girded our loins.
Yeah, and he could not stop talking about it. He loved it.
Not.
Oh, and you know what? There's more where that came from because we'll have Scott McFarland every Wednesday on the show at 10.
Yeah, here's you and Scott talking about the loins.
But it does go a long way on helping to gird the loins of the public for a conflict if you have congressional approval.
That's right. Other than the phrase gird the loins, take the rest of what Amy just said, transcribe it. That's exactly what Senate Democrats are going to argue this afternoon.
Scott McFarlane.
But then he did backtrack. He backtracked and said they might bring up the girding of the loins.
His first of all of our weekly visits we're going to have with him on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
And that's how we started.
I think it's a brilliant start.
I can't believe he's still doing it.
Yeah. All right, Ron, give some context to this.
This is why, if you are a bird watcher out there, you need to get rid of your hobby.
How rude.
Yeah, because that, was he Norwegian? Was he from a Scandinavian country?
Yeah.
That idiot who was patient zero for the hantavirus got it because he is a bird watcher and went to a dump in Brazil or Argentina? Was it Argentina? And because that's where this particular rare bird goes. And that's where the rats are, too. And so he got hantavirus because he's a bird watcher. Stay in your house and watch them out your back window. Go get a bird feeder.
Yeah.
You don't get to go to a dump in Argentina.
Not good.
Get a bird feeder with a little camera on it. That's what people do nowadays.
Perfect.
They can check their phones and see the birds. From
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Amy, you're up next.
Nope, it wasn't. Wrong again, KMOX.
No.
That was a livid texter who was convinced that Sportsman's Park was never, ever called Busch Stadium, even though it was officially changed the name to Busch Stadium in, 1953?
53.
Yeah.
And when we produced newspaper evidence of August Bush Jr. calling it Busch Stadium, he said, nope, I never heard any broadcaster say that.
He said, nope, it wasn't.
I'm
He said
telling
it
you.
because I'm liberal.
This is literally...
And I didn't want to hear from a conservative truth talker. All of that's wrong.
Because he told you, because you're a liberal, that liberals don't like facts.
Yeah.
And I said, buddy, I'm literally telling you that the owner of the team called Sportsman's Park Busch Stadium. The owner of the team. Do you need
I feel like I
better
caught
bit of evidence?
I feel like I caught a couple of strays from that guy.
Well, that guy's... Oh, screw that guy. Who cares what he thinks? Thank you for listening.
Ron, you were back to you with more birds.
Including the white-bellied seed snipe. Was that about the dump?
Yeah, same. That's the bird in the dump.
That's the bird in the dump he was looking for.
My bell's broken. It's not.
Is it user error?
Is your dinger? The dinger won't work?
I gotta get my dinger looked at.
You didn't press the button, did you?
I did. It got stuck.
Have you seen there's a video of a Family Feud, Steve Harvey's hosting, and he asked the question or whatever, and the guy, they have to hit the buzzer so they can make an answer, and the guy just slaps the table instead, and then the woman wins, and then she gives an answer, and then she goes, you have to hit the button to him. That's Pajeski over here.
We got one more. This is for Amy. Give some context to this.
Is it gigawatts or gigawatts? Oh, that is that stupid Kevin O'Leary wants to build a data center that's 40,000 acres and like 1.21 gigawatts. But I don't know if it's gigawatts or gigawatts because I read gigawatts, but I definitely remember that a bolt of lightning is 1.21 gigawatts.
Well,
it could power a time machine.
Good job, guys.
Well,
and are they spelled differently? I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think it's. I do believe that it's supposed to be gigawatt.
Really?
GIG. Yeah, I think so.
And it's just like it's supposed to be GIF, not GIF.
Yes, which I'm not calling it a GIF. It's a GIF. All
that
right,
was excellent.
we did
Nice
it.
work, everyone.
Hey, speaking of, well, that's not really speaking of anything. We were talking about this during the break. The Waymo video.
My gosh.
So Waymos are the self-driving cars, and people use them as taxis in certain cities. And you have probably seen a Waymo on the streets here in St. Louis, but they're not driverless. They, for right now, have to have drivers in them. There's a video of this neighborhood in Atlanta, and it is incredible because all these Waymos with no drivers in them are coming to this secluded neighborhood.
No passengers, just empty.
No passengers, no drivers, and they're just driving in circles in this cul-de-sac, coming in the cul-de-sac, driving out.
And when we say a lot, the woman that lived in the neighborhood and was interviewed said that, yes, between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. this morning, at least 50 Waymos were driving around their cul-de-sac. It's actually terrifying when you watch the video of all these Waymos. Too many of anything scares me. I don't like when there's too many of anything. And this, you said it would motivate you to commit some kind of Waymo crime.
I would have probably a violent crime.
Couldn't you just put like spike strips?
Well, then they're stuck there.
That's true.
I would encourage anybody to just Google Waymo Atlanta, and the stories will pop up, and you'll see the video of these stupid cars coming in, just driving around the circle in the cul-de-sac, and then more cars, like a line of them.
They're blocking each other. They create their own traffic jam. They're trying to turn around. They're trying to U-turn.
And they have no passengers.
No, they have nobody. It's insane.
You know what? These Waymos can just throw them in the river.
The video is unbelievable. 50 Waymos in a cul-de-sac is a lot.
And so then the people of the neighborhood got upset with all these Waymos coming into the neighborhood for some reason, and they put up these barriers so that the cars wouldn't come down, and it caused this huge log jam of these dumb Waymo cars.
It's not going to happen.
The
driverless cars is not going to happen.
I sure as hell hope not. I know I can get upset with fellow drivers on the road who are not paying attention, but this is worse. It's worse because you can't talk to anybody. You can't be like, hey, idiot, get out of here. What are you doing? It's just a car with nobody in it. It's awful. I hate Waymo. All right. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Jeez.
Have a great weekend.
Have fun being all sportsy this weekend, Ranj.
I'm going to be sportsy. Going to go see...
Can you please take a picture of yourself next to the Lincoln Memorial?
No. Orioles Nationals tomorrow, and then I go see City SC take on DC United. That'll be fun, and I'll report back. So have a great weekend. In fact, we're going to do more sports next. Gas House Gang on KMOX.
Time now for today's Spotlight.